It's off exit 10, presented by Capital District Sport and Fitness.
All right, guys, let's get this going, man. We got a squad right now, the most number of people we've found yet. So we got three guys, three of the hardest working guys I know, and three guys that have taken just very different or very unconventional routes to find success in their sport. So we got Greg Farone, Ryan Packard, Ty Gallagher, all from Herkimer Community College. And I just want to talk a little bit to start and ask you guys just like, kind of the process going to Herkimer and what that was like kind of in high school as everybody else was committing, and just kind of like the stigma, or if you felt like there was a stigma around going to community college.
For me, I didn't really know if I was going to play football or baseball, so I was kind of like last minute about it, and like I had kind of like options for both. And actually, our assistant coach at Herkimer, he actually is like, maybe he was my travel coach when I was a kid growing up. So like I always had that connection with there. And there was just one random like showcase in like October. It was like the last time I was gonna throw. I was like 85 to 87, and he was like, "Dude, like you have a legitimate shot at like getting a scholarship someday. Like come be a junior college guy. Like just grind, and then like you'll make it." And then it's ultimately like what I decided to do, because like football, like I was gonna go kick field goals, and like that's just something like wasn't as fun as like throwing baseballs in like a regional championship game. So I was like, all right, like I'm just gonna do that, and then ultimately I just decided to go the JUCO route.
Right. So football was going into your senior year of high school. You said I want to play football in college.
Yeah.
Like that's where your brain was at.
I was gonna try to play both, like maybe go to like Portland or Brockport, play both, or like play at a higher divisional level for like kicking field goals. But like it was a tough decision for sure.
Right. But baseball is what you enjoyed more.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, throwing gas or kicking field goals.
That's what I'm saying.
What
right?
sounds better, you know?
Yeah.
By the way, that was Ryan. That said that.
Yes, we have Ryan. Let's just introduce you guys so you guys don't get confused. So that's Ryan. We got Greg Farone right here.
What's up?
So why don't you talk a little bit, Greg, about just like what your process was, coming through high school?
Yeah. So I mean, junior year, I went down to West Virginia Wesleyan, took a visit, and then a couple weeks later after that, I committed there. And then Coach Raz and Lane texted me saying same thing about Packard. They saw me throw, and they're like, "You have a legitimate shot." Same thing, D1 scholarship, whatever. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do because I was up in the air about it, because I didn't want to. I signed my NLI. I didn't want to walk away from it. It made me look bad. I don't know.
Right.
And then a week before we moved in last year, freshman fall, I was like, all right, let's go be a JUCO Bandit. And that was it.
So you were that late? Like you were ready to go to?
Yeah. I paid my
Virginia.
deposit the day before I moved in.
Holy shit.
So-
Shit, that's wild.
That is wild. What made you make the switch? The trust in these guys?
I think I had trust in them too and myself more. Because with JUCO, you're kind of on your own more.
Right.
Like, you got to bet on yourself if you're going to want to be good or not. And then Packard texted me before I even knew who he was. A couple other guys that played at Herc, and they were like, listen, dude, this is the spot to be. I was like, all right, let's do it.
We're doing it. See, just like culture and community and being around good people, it goes a long way. And then we got Ty Gallagher. So, Ty, why don't you just let the people know a little bit about?
Can you hear me good over here?
Oh, we hear you.
We got
a beautiful voice, Ty.
All right. So,
Serenade
just
my soul.
basically same recruitment process, and Coach Lane reached out to me. Like, it was actually my last visit. I visited a few Division III schools, Division II school, and I was like, you know what? Like, I just liked the vibes Herkimer gave off. So, JUCO was the route. I didn't really know much about it at the time, but now I do, and glad I made my choice.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I mean, you guys grew up in the generation below us. Like when we were in high school, there was no fucking internet. Like you knew the dudes you played with, and you didn't like the dudes you played against, but that's all you knew. Like you knew nothing else. Like, did you guys feel pressures? I'll start with you, Greg, in terms of like, well, I need to go D1. This guy signed D1. I saw this on Twitter. I'm not doing that. In high school, did you feel that type of way, or no? You're like, I'm fucking betting on myself.
I'd say in high school, yeah, I was worried about other people more than myself. Like seeing people from my area throwing harder than me, going D1. Like I had those D1 aspirations, but like the talent wasn't there. my grades weren't there, so I was like, all right, I got to change something.
Right.
And then going to Herkimer, really, I flipped the switch pretty much.
Right. And you saw that, like I said, when you said, okay, I'm not going to go down to Virginia, you saw Herkimer as that place that, okay, like if I want to now take myself and still have those aspirations to go D1, like this is a place to now help me get there.
Yeah, because like I didn't really know much about Herkimer. I never knew it was a real place, honestly. Never heard of it in my life.
We still don't know it's a real place or not.
Is it a real place? That's the thing.
And then like I never knew Coach Raz had all these connections, and he's like, after my freshman year in the spring, he's getting me in contact with people I never talked to in my life.
Right.
Like I'll be honest, I never knew what the Cape Cod League was before last year.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, cool, let's go.
Well, we're doing
Going
this
to
thing.
Cape Cod.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, like if after the summer your senior year of high school, somebody said, hey, you're going to be playing the Cape in 2 summers.
I would have been like, what's that?
Right. Like, what are you talking about?
I don't know what that is.
Where am I going to go? Where am I going to go? Yeah, but that network is so huge. Like, you get out into the work world, like, it's all about finding a good network. And that's, like, I think something kids miss in high school because they're just like, I'm going to go D1. And they disregard every other variable, the coaches, the coaching staff, if it's going to be good for them. It's just nice to fucking make that post online.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of guys chase that hype.
They chase the hype. They chase that shitty graphic they post up.
Yeah.
To be like, I'm fucking going here. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Their fucking buddy makes some dumb graphics. They can get like 200 fucking likes.
$5 graphic on Instagram DM.
Shit drives me crazy, man.
It's fucking wild.
It's wild, man. It's really wild. So Ryan, I mean, like it's a similar deal with you, like kind of last minute, I guess, decision or not until your senior year of high school saying, okay, I'm gonna go play baseball.
Yeah.
And you have a bit of a different story. Like then you get to Herc, and then COVID happens,
Yeah.
and then you tear your UCL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a little interesting path, little roadblock for me. Basically went in the fall. We had a really, really good team, and we had like 8 or 9 guys, 90 plus. Like already had a kid signed to Rutgers. Like we were like predicted to do some serious damage. And COVID came around. I had like biceps tendonitis. My shoulder was messed up, and then I wound up going home for COVID. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna take this time to like dedicate everything I have to it. There's nothing else to do. So I was like, I'm just gonna get my body in the best shape I can. Like I'm just gonna throw as much as I can. And for the first time, I hit like 90 miles an hour, and I was like, all right, like I'm seeing changes. And then I finally got to play in like some league up in Hudson River, and I just abused my body. I didn't take care of my body. I would lift every day. I would throw every day. I didn't do the right things, and then I was like pitching shutout like 7 innings, and then like 2 outs in the 7th, I blow my UCL, and I'm like, and I didn't know, like it just like popped, and I was like, I just rubbed it. That's it, and I finished the game.
Savage.
3 days later,
I just rubbed it.
3 days later, I came back. I closed the semifinal game, and on the way home, I closed 2 7-inning games for my Legion.
This is after you
Played
tore.
me.
Yeah.
He
This
was
is after
playing
you tore
against
your
me.
UCL.
Yeah,
You
after I
said
tore my UCL,
you just went
I came
savage
back,
mode.
pitched in the playoffs for them, and then on the way home, I pitched for my Legion team.
Oh.
I closed 2 different doubleheaders against him.
Did you strike him out?
Mine and face.
I grounded out.
Actually, I grounded out. Yeah, and like I didn't know, and like I couldn't throw. Then the next day, I wake up and like my arm was locked in place. Couldn't move it. Like it was the worst pain I ever had. And like I just waited like 3 weeks, and then I finally went to the doctors. I saw like Dr. Ahmad, as you guys have good connections with him, and he was like, "Yeah, like, you need Tommy John." And I was supposed to move in like 4 days, and I was like, I called Coach Raz, and I was like, I need TJ. And he was like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, like, I'm sorry." And he was like, "All right, well, I don't even know how it works out and like what you're gonna do."
Right.
So I kind of just took the semester off.
Right, but it's like
Rehab.
that's why you want to position yourself with good dudes. It's like
Yeah.
Imagine if you went a different route and signed to some
Exactly.
small D1, just go D1 in high school.
Could have
and
pulled
you-
my scholarship, and that would have been it.
100%, 100%. And look where we're at now. So how was that process rehabbing? It's like,
Well, luckily I got up here with you guys. Like Dr. Ahmad like said this was the place to go, and I live an hour and 45 minutes away, but I had nothing to do. So like in the mornings I would just DoorDash, get like $30, fill my car, and I'd come up here 3-4 times a week, whatever I had to do. Up here kind of just like changed my life, and like the things I learned, like mobility-wise, like I never did mobility. I had no idea what mobility was. I was just, all right, let's go deadlift 500 pounds. Like
Right.
that's all I knew.
right,
And like the mobility side of it, and like all the little workouts that like no one thinks of, like I started to do, and I just started to see like real changes, and like it really benefited me. Now I'm changing my college major exercise science. I just love it now. Like, I just learned so much about
That's
it.
fucking awesome.
That's
dude.
amazing, man. I did not know that.
Yeah, that's dope, dude. I mean, you're not the only kid though that's like, I feel like either gone through that injury or like had a lot of physical therapy and then they end up going that route.
Yeah.
Like they're like, I mean, I know so much about it already and like I love it, so why not go that route? And it's awesome that like you've been able to take an injury and find different things out of it that have been like a blessing for you in a sense. You know,
for sure.
You know, find the hidden gems in like the bad things that happen in your life, and you know, it kind of helps you flip a switch of like, all right, I gotta do this, and this now. And you know, I tore my Achilles, so like for me, like the switch flipped immediately as it happened. Like as soon as it happened, I knew. So like for you, when did you feel like, I mean, obviously you pitched with the injury, but when did you feel like, okay, this is like Tommy, like obviously you found out you needed Tommy John. Was it when you found out, or was it like short after you had surgery that you were like, all right, this shit's real?
Like it was real in the office. So like I didn't know. Like I was just telling myself like yeah, I was throwing. So like I was still trying to throw, like work through. I thought I just had like soreness. So I was like taking it slow. And I remember going down to Dr. Mod's office, and like I would just convince myself I just had like flexor pronator, something was wrong. And there was 9 pictures of the MRI guy, and he gets to the 9th one, and I just see him zoom in, zoom out, zoom in, zoom out. He looks at Frank Alexander, zooms in, zooms out, and they both turn and look at me. And I just got that look, and my head just collapsed. I like went in tears. I just knew. And then he was like, he's like, you know what this is? And I was like, yeah, I do. Like, I had a buddy that went through it with you. And he was like, listen, like, you can get a cortisone shot and a bunch of shots. Like, you can do PT in, like, 6 months and, like, see if it'll work. But, like, if you want to have a long career, play Division I baseball and farther, like, you need Tommy John. And I was like, he's like, I'll give you 15 minutes. And I was just like, nah, like, I'm doing it. Let's do it.
We're doing it.
So that switch flipped pretty quick for you, too. Like, it was like...
Yeah, it was real.
You were like, listen, like, I know what I got to do. Like, it sucks, but, like, it's going to be a grind, and I'm going to get through it. Like, yeah, that, I mean... And that's just the competitor in you. I mean, you're one of the first kids I remember when I started here that was going through Tommy John. Between you and Puz that you played with. Like, Puz was the first person I saw fresh off Tommy John. Yeah. And then you were, like, the first person that I saw come in, like, and was already, like, in the rehab process and squatting a shit ton of weight, like, doing a bunch of shit that I'm like, damn. I'm like, this guy's Tommy John surgery. And, like, he's squatting 400 pounds. I'm like, all right. You can do this. So
yeah, for sure. There's always a way to train. Do you feel like you're where you're at right now? Like you just signed to Dayton, right? Recently.
Correct.
Like, do you feel like you're where you're at now without going through that, or
no shot? Like, not even close. Like the things I learned, like it wouldn't have gotten me this far. And like I just like learned. I think the biggest thing for me was like everything I learned. Like getting stronger. Like that's gonna happen over time. Like if you work hard at it. Like the knowledge I learned from getting Tommy John and like the things I thought I was doing everything right. Like. But I realized I wasn't eating right. I wasn't getting 8 to 10 hours of sleep every night. Like, just all the little things I wasn't doing, like had something I learned from getting surgery, and then just put it all together, and then finally it's starting to pay off for me.
Right. Like all my favorite successful people, like have gone through real tough shit or gone through adversity. Like it's not just an easy climb.
No.
And like Greg, you didn't have an injury, but like your path in terms of high school, not getting recruited to a big college, going to Herc. Like what did you throw in high school? Velocity.
Good days, 83.
And like what'd you just hit last week?
95.
So what do you it's crazy. Like what do you attribute that to over the years? Like it didn't happen quickly.
Yeah, it did.
It happened kind of quick.
It did.
Really
it did.
I don't know. I wasn't the biggest kid. I wasn't strong.
Right.
I didn't know what mobility was, as Packard was saying, but I'd say freshman fall I was 205 pounds. Like I didn't have arm problems, but I had like tendonitis, and like that caused me like to not throw good, I guess you could say.
Right.
And then I went home. After I talked to Raz, he was like, "Listen, if you don't come back throwing hard or whatever, you're gonna hit." I was like, "Oh, I don't really want to hit." I was like, I got a big body. I might as well just throw. So I came back 30 pounds up, stronger. I was like 4 to 6 beginning of the winter, and then I got up to 88, and I was like, "Damn. That's the hardest I've thrown in my life ever."
Right.
And I just took that, and I just realized how long? Probably like 5-6 months could do.
5-6 months of what though? Strength training, eating,
everything. Like I just stopped talking to everybody.
Right.
Those 5 to 6 months I was home, like I ignored everybody. I didn't talk to nobody at school. Like occasionally I'd text people and say what's up, checking how they're doing, but I was more focused on myself, which is how I am now too. Like, yeah, guys on the team, I care about them. I want them to be successful and eat as well, but I got to win too. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I just focused more on the smaller things, because like the strength training was going to be there. Like, I have access to facilities to get stronger. The throwing programs, people make them for me, all this other stuff. It was just eating right and sleeping right and actually giving a fuck, honestly.
Right. I think actually giving a fuck
That makes a big difference.
about yourself, and I don't say not giving a fuck about others, but like not caring what their process is. Like,
Right.
I think when you're too focused on others, you're not going to be the best self you can be. When you're worried about other people's situations or whatever, and you're trying to help other people more than yourself, you're not going to reach your top athletic ability or whatever you want to do in life, honestly.
Right.
Well,
Like, do you see other guys and you're like, man, like you got this backwards. Like you gotta refocus. You're too focused on others. You're too distracted with this.
Yeah, like the Instagram, like social media plays a big role in how high schoolers see other people. Like, there's kids all over Twitter and stuff. They're like 97, 99. I'm looking at them like, holy shit, this kid's class of 2023 throwing harder than me, and I'm pretty much I'm a grown man. But it's like everybody's worried about the next person. I just think if everybody took that attention away from other people and focused on themselves, they'll do outstanding things.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just too hard now with that thing in your phone, the phone in your pocket. It's like you pull it out, you start scrolling, and there you go. There you go down the rabbit hole of other people, and there you are distracted. Take away from time you could spend thinking about yourself and what work you got to do to get to where you want to be. Because time's going to move fast. It's like you're going to work or you're not going to work.
Well, and who is it? Isn't it like Warren Buffett that says like something like he won't invest in like a business, like somebody's business, unless that person's failed like twice? Like, you got to go through failures and trials and tribulations in order to be successful and feel success too.
Right.
Like, you may win all the time, like, but then when you finally lose and you're like, don't know how to deal with it, that's when the downward spiral goes. But if you can deal with that adversity and, flip that switch like you did, big things can come for you. Like, obviously, difference between 83 and 95 right now, and
Right.
starting out at JUCO and now you're going to, D1. So, big things can change when you start to change the focus to yourself more. And like you said, it's like you got to be a little selfish. Like,
You got to be, for sure.
In life in general, if you focus too much on other people, like, then you lose sight of where you are, and that's the biggest thing.
That's it. Like that's probably part of like the JUCO mentality. Like talk to me. Talk to me about the JUCO.
The JUCO stigma.
The JUCO bandits.
It's
baby.
a dog-eat-dog world. That's what it is.
That's it. You feel what like underdog.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much you can be as good as you want to be and how hard you're gonna work. Because everyone thinks JUCO is like, they're just like, oh, like it's like kids who like didn't do good in school, like kids who like just like had like messed up somewhere, and like that's not the truth. Like, everyone wants to go Division I. The Division I hype is so overrated. Kids who play Division I at like sports are like, it's a privilege. It's awesome. Like, congrats. But like, there's Division III junior college schools that will go to a Division I school and take 3 games from them in a weekend because they're just that hungry. They're like, I don't care who you are. We wake up put on the same clothes, tie the same shoes.
Right.
Like, I'm here. Like, fuck you.
There's
like,
definitely
let's fucking play.
More of a chip on the shoulder for the JUCO guys.
Yeah.
Like, D1s, you get everything handed to you. You get all this nice gear and shit. At Herc, you get 3 shirts and 2 pairs of shorts all year. That's all you're wearing.
From BSN.
And you pay $100 for it.
Yeah.
And you're paying for your stuff. You're waking up. It ain't. I don't know.
No, that clothing. That was when I went to college. I was like, yes, fuck. I finally made a team. Like, bring on the gear, baby. Let me go. Where's this at?
Let it rip.
All of a sudden, they send me a link. Like, here's our web store. Like, $60 for this T-shirt. I'm like, you motherfucker. I thought you give me this shit. What are we doing? But no, man, I love that mentality. Like, those are my favorite types of high school kids that come in the gym. Like, you can tell they're hungry. You can tell they got a chip on their shoulder. You can tell the kids who are just here because, like, they think you're supposed to be here. Like, there's a big difference. Like, Ty, like, this summer when I first met you, like, playing in the PGCBL, like, it's a lot of big D1 names, and you're there catching these guys.
Yeah, I mean, it was a struggle. Like, the first few weeks, it was like, where you go to school? Like, Fairfield, St. John's, just big name schools. Like, the 2 catchers in front of me, Schwartz, he's at SNU now, but, he was at St. John's. And then Zebo, who is with the Braves now. So, like, it's kind of like you have to, try to hold your own and, like, not getting a lot of innings, last spring kind of slowed me down the first few weeks. But, you know, getting into it and, like, you know, the support of the guys is what you need more than anything.
Right.
And I think, like, you know, developing a routine and developing, like, knowing what you have to get better at is, like, a big thing. And that's where, like, I started to make a little progress in my summer. And then, you know, obviously middle of the summer, you know, hitting like a $130, you know, but now I got 60 at-bats under my wing. So guess what? Now I'm going to start attacking guys the second half of the season, you know, when you have to really change things and, like, you know, your work period's over. Like, you're done working on your stuff. Like, now you have to go do it. So, you know, like, my mentality was, let's just get a little confidence to go into the fall and try to have a good fall and just, you know, get back to Herc.
Right.
Like, you know, that's what summer ball's about. It's about your development. It's about what you got to do. So, you know, it was kind of crazy. It was like, these guys are really good. And, like, it was a game in Amsterdam. They had a starter from, I don't know what school, one of their flamethrowers. And I was like, you know what? I don't give a shit who you are. I'm just going to fucking hit a ball really hard off of you. And, you know, that's when I had a double and a single. And that was where, like, everything started to fall. And it's like, you can't just give a fuck who's on the mound. You just got to keep going.
Right. I think, like, the word you used a lot is development, and that's key. Like, thinking about your career as development. Like what Greg said, like, fucking focus on yourself.
Right.
Like, what's going to help you to keep continuing your career? And that may not be. You guys are all prime examples. That might not be committing to some D1 just to do it. It's like, I got to make sure I'm developing as a player and as a person and progressing through life.
Mike, I think that comes with more of a routine. You know what I mean? Like, routine is like a big word you'll see a lot of baseball guys use. Like, I mean, these two guys here, like, you know, I live with them, and they're like, they do the same shit every day on the day before they throw, the day after they throw, the day they throw.
Right.
So it's like, you know, even as a hitter, like, I'm like, all right, I got to get, you know, my tennis ball work in before I take a flip swing. You know what I mean? Like, establishing a routine and establishing what works for you and finding what works for you is like, it's like a big thing. Like, it changes a lot, for sure.
Right. What made you find your routine? Like, just trial and error? You see somebody else?
That was another big thing. Like, perfect game league, it's like, all right, you see how these guys are going about their business. Like, you know, you try to copy that. Like, you know, we had 2 hitters from Louisville this year. It was like, it's really, and Handel from Fairfield. Like,
Shout out Mike Handel.
Shout out Mike Handel.
Shout out Mike Handel.
you know, like, I watch those guys. Like, I would watch those guys take BP. Like, you know, you watch other guys do things and find out what works for them. And, you know, I like to pick brains. Like, I'll ask Pack and Greg about pitching mechanics. Like, because if I'm catching and a pitcher's struggling, like, I want to be able to help them.
Right.
So it's like constantly picking brains and kind of figuring things out, like, on your own is kind of how to do it, really.
Yeah. You live with both these guys, huh?
Yeah.
Holy shit, man.
That's got to be a fucking rowdy house right there.
Who you got to make sure is okay the most?
What's that?
Who you got to make sure is okay the most? You go out, who you got to watch out for?
They're taking care of me.
I was just gonna say, I'm like, it sounds like Packard's getting that 8 to 10 hours of sleep, so you know, maybe he's the one taking care of Ty.
Packard's liver begs to differ.
I'm like the dad of the house, if we're being honest. I'm always doing dishes, cleaning
Cooking
up,
dinner.
cooking dinner for
Yeah,
everyone, doing laundry.
tucking Ty into bed.
Nah, not all that.
Reading Farone bedtime stories.
Yeah, on occasion.
Oh shit, man.
Living with these dudes is a blast, though.
It is.
When you know there's a bullpen, like, there was days we were going to Banton this fall.
Up at 5 o'clock.
Me and Greg were in the living room, 2 JBL speakers connected at 5 a.m. playing Shekel and High by like 5-finger death punch. Like, dude, we were just sitting there, just like getting our Duncan Anderson punches, like head nod at 5 a.m. Game's in like 7 hours. We're just like, dude,
I'm a hitter, so I'm like,
we're
what are these guys
they're
doing,
like,
man?
What's wrong with these guys? We're like, dude, I'm just that ready to play. I was up at 3 a.m. I couldn't sleep. I was just that fired up.
Ty gets waking up by 5-finger death punch. Like, what?
I'm like, what are you guys doing? Why is Metallica on? Why is my bed shaking? From these damn speakers.
No, but like when I think back to college, like there's obviously all the games, but I just think back to the times like just living with your dudes, like,
Yeah.
right? Like that's the shit you remember,
Yeah,
man.
we've had our fair share of good times.
Yeah, man. No, that shit's real. So it's like, okay, like you went through your Tommy John pack, and you guys are all going through the process right now, getting back into the season. Was last season regular? Like
Yeah.
regular
Pretty
schedule?
regular.
It
Yeah.
was pretty regular.
It was
Regular-
cut back a little bit, but pretty much a regular season.
Regular season.
Yeah.
And then the year before was the COVID year, right?
Yeah.
See, I always get so confused with the COVID eligibility. Like, I have no idea what, like, year and.
We're still all freshmen. This is wild.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, how old are you, Greg?
I'm 19.
Pack?
I turned 21 in 2 months.
It's crazy, man. Freshman. Oh,
That's
man.
wild. I'm 21. I'm a freshman.
Yeah, it's wild. So Pack and Front, you'll both go in next year as soft.
I think it depends on like the level. Like if you like JUCO to Division 1, JUCO to Division 3, I think it's different. Like
Okay.
how much. But I think we'll both go with 3 years of eligibility next year.
Everyone except D2, I think, gets 3.
Just 3. Here, Ty, slide closer to that mic a little bit.
All right.
Pack, you too. I just want to make sure we're going to be good. I think we've been okay.
for
So
sure.
what'd you say, Ty? That
I think for Division 3 and Division 1, everyone gets 3
Okay.
because NJCAA is transferring over.
Okay.
I don't know about Division 2. I'm not sure.
right.
Because I know playing D3 next year, I'm going to have 3. So
Wait, where are you going?
I'm going to go to Hobart William Smith, baby.
Oh,
Startup
good fuck.
program.
Hell yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
great school.
Yeah. I'm
Hobart,
excited
that's
for
cool.
that, for sure.
No, that's awesome, Ty. Congrats, man.
Thank you.
Congrats on that,
Appreciate
dude.
I knew that. Congrats,
That's
man.
news to us, so that's awesome.
Mr.
Yeah.
Brainiac over here.
Yeah. fucking-
Shot.
I mean, listen.
I mean, there's a route for everyone. You know, like, I love this, like, JUCO because it's so, like, you know, Louisville, Dayton, you know, draft, like, you know, you're talking about.
Draft, top 5
Yeah,
rounds.
draft. Right. So it's like there's a wide. Like I'm a Division 3. I'm gonna go be a bookworm. Like that's what Everyone has their route. Everyone does their thing. Like that's what I like about baseball. That's what I like about JUCO. And then like everyone finds their fit. So
Right.
But you're going to be able to go compete. That's the big thing. Like
Right.
you're going to go there, compete. You're going to play. You're going to have a good, like. You're not going to go there or go up to Division 1
Right.
and sit the bench and then fall out of love with baseball because you're literally sitting the bench and never stepping on the field.
it's amazing how like JUCO like changes your view on everything too. Like your coaches like they're like Coach Rath and Coach Lane. They don't emphasize Division 1. They're trying to emphasize what fits for you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like not everyone is meant for Division 1 life. Like some guys like the D2 life, some guys like Division 3. Like, everything fits for everybody differently. So,
Right. Like I wish every high school kid could hear that.
Right.
I mean, that's the one thing advice I would give them. Find the best fit for you all the way around.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't look for one specific thing in one specific place,
But we were talking.
Look for everything.
We were talking to one of our adult clients, and there's like this thing he was talking about that like you can like narrow down like, okay, you want to go to Division 1, 2, and 3. You want baseball, your major, like all these specific things, and then it filters it out for you,
100%.
and you can find your best fit. And then if you have like the right people in place with you that are advising you and all that, you're gonna see who's like where you should go and what's gonna be, like you said, your best fit for you. Like whether it's D1, D2, D3, JUCO. There's so many different options out there, and I think kids get so fixated on that D1 status that makes it hard.
It's like a status symbol.
Mhm.
I mean, it's kind of. I mean, believe me, I've seen some Division 1 players that are not too good, man. Like how are you, like it's a label. Like
Yep.
like they were saying before, our junior college team will walk into a lot of Division 1 programs and give them work for 3 games. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Like that's just how they operate. So
I mean, we did. Shout out Binghamton.
I wasn't gonna mention names, but
I love when
but
shots
the boys
are
got
fired.
busy in Binghamton.
I love it. You beat 1 game, 2 games? You beat up
It was
on
one
it was like
long,
one
long
big
game.
One long game.
One
Took
long
a break
beatdown.
at 7 innings, and then I don't know. We gave it to him for 8 innings, and the 9th inning, we were tired. We wanted to go home. We've been there all day.
we were waiting for that pizza.
Statement made.
Yeah.
That's all
I
that
love
matters.
it,
That's
man.
all that matters.
I love it, man. No, I can't wait to watch some games. But no, Ty, I mean, you got D1 players who, maybe aren't as great and end up there. Or Paul and I have met over the past few years, a lot of high school kids who will sign a Division 1 scholarship, a school that's probably not the best for them, play there for 1 year, play there for fall ball or 2,
Transfer.
and be like, transfer, or be like, man,
Or done.
done. Baseball
Just
is not
done.
the same, man. I do not love this anymore. Like, Greg, how much did you make sure in this process, ending up at Louisville next year, like finding a place that could do everything we've been talking about, can develop you, but a place, you could be happy and, like, is going to, get you to that next step?
I don't like when I talked to like Mississippi State and like they showed interest a little bit, and like all these other D1 schools talking to Raz and everything. They're like, we want him like to wait till like spring or whatever, and I was like, I could do that, and then Coach Roger at Louisville called me, and I got over there after Thanksgiving, and as soon as I stepped on campus, I was like, this is me. He like showed me around, and he showed me what they do for the pitchers. Like they have a guy who breaks down the film for you, runs the TrackMan stuff. They take care of their guys. Like everybody was more. It wasn't just a bunch of dudes trying to get drafted or just play. They were all like brothers. Like I hung out with some of the guys in their apartments and stuff, and it just felt normal. It felt like I was at school in Herkimer, but with just different people.
Right.
And like when I'm comfortable, it's like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
And Coach Rods, he was like, listen, he was like, you got the body, you got the stuff. He goes, just 1 year here. And Coach McDonald said the same thing. Me and him had a one-on-one in the office, and he was giving me a breakdown of like the program itself, and like Louisville's the second best program overall besides Vanderbilt and everything. People signing bonuses professionally, draft, like the round, the pick, all that stuff. Louisville's second behind Vanderbilt, and Vanderbilt's probably the best program for college baseball. But he would just ram me through it. He was like, not a lot of people can say they play in Omaha, which they do pretty often. So I was like, all right, let's do it. Louisville's the spot.
Yeah, Louisville, man, there's a lot of good dudes. I've been lucky the past 2-3 summers to meet Louisville guys like Ben Metzinger, who's amazing, and Chris Sang, and Cam Masterman is there now. Like, they're good dudes. How much is, like you just talk about signing bonuses, and like how much is the next level in your head now? Or right now you're like, okay, let's get shit done at Herc, let me get to Louisville, and then let's take life from there.
Right now, I just want to play professionally as fast as I can, honestly. Like, it's 50-50. It's both ways, like round, money.
Right.
What depends on what I'm going to get.
Right.
Where, maybe, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, Louisville, I think about it. It's like, okay, I can get my degree there. It'll look better. If baseball doesn't work out,
right.
I can develop maybe one more year, and I can say to other people that, like, I played in Omaha, which is dope. Like,
Very
not
dope.
many people do that.
Very dope.
Very dope.
And, like, not many people get to say they played in the ACC, which
Right.
is one of the best Power 5 conferences ever. So, I mean, professionally is, like, still there, and, like, I would love to play professionally, but it's still in the air, 50-50.
Right.
I mean, I've talked to a bunch of teams, advisors, all that stuff, and, like, some project me next year after a year, which, I'm okay with.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's all right. I'll go to Louisville and play for 1 year. Cool.
Right.
Some are like, listen, you have a good year, it can happen. I was like, okay.
Right.
We'll see what we can do.
So you're just taking it kind of step by step. Whatever comes in front of you, that's what you're taking, and just
Yeah.
rolling with it.
I'm a family guy too. Like, what's good for my parents too. Like they'll support me no matter what.
Absolutely.
And like I want to make sure they're set as well because they've put so much time and money into my career. And like, if I have that money to support them and give back to them, I'm taking it.
Absolutely. You know, I can't blame you for that. I mean, you hear that all the time with different professional athletes. Like, family's such a big thing, and like I'm super family oriented. So is Mike. So for us, if we were in your position, I'm sure it'd be very similar. So I respect that a lot, and it's it's nice to hear somebody say like, yeah, like my mind's on professional sports for sure, because you have that opportunity potentially in your future, but you're still taking it step by step. Like, whatever's in front of you, that's what you're trying to conquer next. Like, you got the Herkimer season coming up. Like,
Right.
That's your next challenge. Like,
Yeah.
You're not looking too far into the distance where you're gonna.
Like, I'll bullshit with these guys. I'm like, I'm not going to school next year. Fuck that shit. Like, I don't enjoy going to school. Like, I'll sit on the couch and watch TV. And I'm like, man, fuck this shit. I just want to play baseball professionally. No school. Don't worry about it. And then it's like, as we get closer and closer to the season, as you're mentioning, it's like, all right, let's go win a national title.
Absolutely.
Louisville's a couple months away, months away. Draft's months away. Let's be in the now.
That's
A lot of people are in the future. They worry about the future too much. I like being in the now.
I think that's paid off for you. I mean,
Yeah.
needless to say.
100%.
I think it's paid off for you pretty well. So I think you're doing all right with that.
Yeah, I think
So.
most definitely. What's life like right now? Like, what's the day? You're in the preseason still. When's the first game?
March
March
12th, I
March
think.
12th, 14th,
I'm gonna trust Ty on this one.
Ty's a dad of the house, so.
To be honest, I only got one day on my calendar, and that's the day we play Niagara. So that's all I really care about right now.
I think it's
All right.
the 12th of March, yeah.
Yeah.
12th, and then we play Niagara the 15th or the 14th.
Yeah. We got some unfinished business up at the hill.
Okay.
Is that how it finished last year?
We'll walk
Yeah.
off.
A little tough.
off
I think we owned them last year, honestly. I think if we had one more go-around with our better arms on the mound, no disrespect to anybody who pitched or whatever, but I think if they got our better guys, I mean, we smacked them. We played them 3 times, 4
Yeah.
times.
Played 'em
Played them
3
twice in
times.
Cortland. Ramo hit a walk-off first game. Second game got rained out, but we were up 6-1 in the third. The regional game, the first game on Sunday, we beat them 19-8. We made 5 errors. We shouldn't have won that game.
Yeah.
They just baseball, and it happened.
Yep.
Don't get us wrong though. Like that Niagara team is good. Like don't
Don't get it.
shout out to them. They're a very good team. But like last year's team was just like a bunch of dogs. Like we went 32-4. Like it was just a bunch of group of best friends who were like refused to lose.
Yep.
They wouldn't lose.
We know that.
They were just so good. Like our arms, like he was our hardest start, topped at like 88. Most of our arms were low 80s. Like this year, it's
Stupid.
a whole different ball game. So like high expectations for this group. But obviously, we have to
You gotta
get one
perform.
game at a time. Yeah,
Right.
potential is through the roof of this group, but still gotta work
Some
on it.
day by day issues.
Yeah.
So your first game, it's not Niagara. You guys go what down south
Now we
first?
got
Rockingham.
Niagara's our second series in Florida, so
In Florida.
there's a lot of tension. There was a basketball game the other night. Herkimer
Twitter
versus
beef.
Niagara.
Get social media.
the
Guys,
Niagara
gotta
beef.
stay off that
Yeah,
shit.
He just, it was just, I don't know. It was a little crazy.
He posted the walk-off video at our coach. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, dude, no one knows who you are.
Yeah.
We don't care.
And like the catcher at Niagara, like the guys there on that team last year were cool. Like
They're a bunch of good
when we
They
got
were
on the
fun to
field
play.
against them, like we want to beat each other. We want to beat the shit out of them. They want to beat the shit out of us. But we stood there after we lost. We like congratulated them on winning, watched them get their plaque or whatever and that bullshit. But when you got your basketball coach talking shit, come on.
They're basketball coach.
After you just
Yeah.
got beat by a
After
bunch
they-
of non-scholarship guys, like come
Yeah.
on. Man.
Jeez, man.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, that's where it's different. Like we
It
just
was
didn't.
tough,
We
yeah.
just did not have that social media.
That social
It's
media
like-
aspect wasn't there, like at all.
that's
People
wild.
like to a lot of what's that called? Internet thugs is what I like to call it.
No
People
Twitter
talk
fingers.
a lot of shit on social media, and then you get in person, they're first to congratulate you.
Right. Those are the dudes with no girlfriends and their fucking mom's. You know, like
38 years old drinking Dr. Pepper playing.
That's who you're messing with there when
Xbox,
you're
like,
talking.
Come on.
that's who those dudes are, man. All right, guys. How's the rotation looking this year? Like, so I've met a lot of you guys, like through Dr. Ahmad Packard, like who you saw for your Tommy
Yeah.
John. I mean, I know you. I know Puz, who's back here right now.
Yeah.
Yastrzemski, right, is there
Yeah.
too. Yeah, shout out Luke Puz.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys got a nice rotation, right?
I would say so. I mean, I think hasn't been indefinite, but I think we pretty much know. I mean, we got me and Greg on Saturdays, and we got a righty who sat 87 today, who's disgusting, transferred from
Alabama State.
Alabama State, something like that. Then we got Patch, Patch, 86, 87.
Yep.
Was dominant in regionals last year.
He's lefty, right?
Yeah, lefty. We got Puz, who's worked just as hard as any of us. Going to be mid-high 80s. Another kid we have no idea. He could throw 90, he could throw 95, he could throw 100. Probably one of the most live arms I've ever seen in my life. And we got a few other kids from Albany who are high 80s. Like it should be a really good year.
Yeah,
for us.
we've had quite a few. Now, like thinking about the Herc guys, like just come through here, and whether they're throwing, Tommy John, lifting, like whatever, and every single one of you guys, like I see that dog eat dog mentality, like getting after it, grinding, like I don't give a fuck who's in here, like I'm going after it. Like the
Yeah,
amount
it's-
of times that I'm like, yo,
it's
Packard,
different.
let's only do this. You're like, fuck that, I'm throwing on more weight. I'm like, all right, let's do it. Let's go.
All the time.
It's different, man.
Yeah.
It's different.
Yes, you guys are one of my favorite crews. Like, we have high schoolers who we want to push and get after it, and like, you want to lift with these couple big league guys, or you want to lift with Herc? It's like you should go lift with Herc.
Go
like,
lift with fucking Herc.
Yeah. I remember the first day I met Paul, I was in here. I think I had like 450 on the squat bar, and he like walks in. I'm like drinking 2 bangs, like double fist, and he's like, "Who the fuck is this guy?"
Essentially, like this guy.
And I was like, "Oh, what's up? Hi, I'm Ryan." He's like, "Okay, nice to meet you." It was a good day.
It was.
I was famous for drinking double bangs. In
Are you
here.
still doing that?
I'm off the caffeine. Honestly.
Completely?
Don't lie.
Besides bullpen days.
Okay. Right.
I got my Dunkin' Energy punch with a few scoops. So fucked up.
A few scoops?
Yeah, too.
Two?
Do you go cold turkey?
Yeah,
It's
but-
tough.
Well, yeah. Well,
He's scared to dry scoop.
I don't dry scoop anymore. We ran into so you guys probably don't know this, but everyone's laughing because they all know the story. So we get back from a lift, and I'm just, oh no, it was before a lift. And I'm like, yo, I'm fucking hungry. I take mint pre-workout or protein powder, 25 grams down the hatch.
Dry.
Dry.
Meanwhile, we had a
disgusting.
shake before that.
That's
Pack was like,
fucking
from
disgusting.
now on, no one drinks a shake
Yeah.
alone. I'm like,
Dude.
I drink one, I'm still
We
hungry. Like
drank, like,
30 minutes
4
ago, I'm
shakes.
like, 30 minutes past, I'm like, Pack, let's fill it up again, let's go. He goes, you want me to dry scoop it? I was like, why? Why? He fucking does it. It's on video. He's doing it. He's plugging his nose to get it down. He's gagging.
And it got bad. Because it was like, I don't know if it was a coincidence, but later that night we had practice, like 8 o'clock. And I'm sitting there warming up. I'm
Denying,
like, dude,
well.
I'm going to throw up. I'm going to throw up. So I'm like, great, I can't throw. I'm going home. I go home, throw my bag down. I start puking. Puked all night. I wound up puking so much. I got so dehydrated. I passed out in the shower.
Yep.
Had to go to the hospital in an ambulance.
I remember I walked in my room from doing.
Like, I don't know if it was the protein powder. I don't know if I got food poisoning, but I was like, I'm never dry scooping again.
I walk in the room and he's sitting on this like the chair and whatever, and there's a campo officer running stuff down. I'm looking around. I'm like, we about to get in trouble. Pack's just out on the couch, eyes closed,
Four
dozing away,
paramedics. They had four
Lost 16
paramedics.
pounds in a day.
Oh my gosh.
You what?
I lost 16 pounds.
I
I
got a
got under
call.
220 for the first time in like 3 years. I was like, nah.
I get a call at 2 o'clock in the morning. Ryan, I just phone. Hey, come get me. I'm done.
I was in
I'm
the
like,
hospital.
all right.
It was bad.
What'd you tell the doctor?
I
Dry
just
scoop
told him I was
protein.
I just said, I was like, I don't know if it was something I ate. I was like, I just got sick. I could not stop puking.
Does
Like,
he know you? Does he know you dry scoop?
I didn't tell him. Dude, it was crazy. I was getting ready to shower. I drank one sip of water, and I immediately just threw up I could not drink anything. It would just come up immediately, and I was like, I'm sick. Like, something's wrong. And I wound up just passing out in the shower.
And you're the dad of the house.
Yeah.
Now he is.
And, like,
Up until that
some of them
point.
were sleeping. It was like midnight.
I was sleeping. I heard like a bang.
Yeah.
I
I'm like,
walked
what
out,
the
and there's
hell
like 2
is
kids
that?
sitting in the living room. I'm like, dude, you gotta call camp. They're like, why? I'm like, dude, I need help. Like, I'm sick.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And I don't get sick often.
We
So-
thought it was the end of the pack show.
Well, you're here,
do it.
man.
You're
Look
here.
at you over there.
Look at me.
You're here.
Moral of the story: don't dry scoop,
Don't dry scoop.
especially protein.
Protein powder, dude, it was rough.
But so
Try it, Paul. Try it sometime.
Fuck no.
Oh, wait. Greg, I'm confused though. So that's why you don't drink caffeine?
No,
No,
he's
I-
just
I
afraid
don't
to.
dry
He's
scoop.
afraid of the dry scooping
I
part of
don't.
it.
I don't really like if I'm gonna go to the gym. I'm gonna dry scoop everything. I don't creatine. It doesn't matter. I'm just going down the hatch, fast way to the blood. I just stopped. I'm just off of it. I'm like, I always had problems here. I would drink 2 bangs and dry scoop pre-workout, and I would get so sick on the way home, but I just continued to do it for months.
Yeah, I would
It's
look
fun.
at you and I'd be like, you probably feel like shit after this because you literally just drank a bang and then I'd see you crack another one. I'm like,
The amount of
What
times
just
I had to
happened?
like pull over on the way home. That hour 40 drive is killer after being here for 4
Especially
hours.
on 88, homie.
Yeah. Construction.
especially when
the
you're
whole time.
basically on meth at that point.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I got through it. Squat the most in 48 res.
I mean, listen, you got to do what you got to do to
That's what I'm
be the
saying. Gotta
strongest.
let the dogs eat.
Yeah.
Got
Dog
it.
eat dog world.
Got it. But yeah, you'd be here for like 4 hours. Like, talk about the rehab process. Like, okay, how early were you lifting? I mean, it happens quick, right? I mean, a lot of kids probably assume I'm going to be shelved for a while, but
Yeah.
there's still
I
ways
mean,
to train.
It was cool coming here. Like I didn't expect to like jump into things. I get here. I remember I met with like all you guys like the week before, and like Pat like checked out my arm. I got to take my brace off for the first time, and I was done with Pat. And they're like, all right, like you guys were like, let's fucking go. I'm like, what? And they're like, yo, I wound up hitting person like 315 that day. I'm like still on like oxycodones. I'm just fucking literally like get after it. And like I kind of realized I was like, all right, like there's no time for bullshit. Like you're here, you did it. Like you gotta go. Like, and there was no time to wait. And I love that kind of mentality. I left with like a huge program, a monthly program, like everything I needed. And like every day, like I would come up here, I think Tuesdays and Thursdays and sometimes Fridays, just lift, just get out of the house. And like at home, like I was lifting for like, I was in the gym for like 4 or 5 hours to do my PT, to do like the running I had to do, the lifts, the mobility. I was like, but I loved it. Like I had nothing else to do. It was like, probably, it was the worst time of my life, honestly, outside. Like, mentally, it was the hardest thing I've ever done, by far. Like, that's what people think. Like, the recovery is easy. Like, if you loved it and, like, you know you want to, like, get back to where you were, it's easy. Like, mentally, for the first time in my life, I was like, whoa, like, I'm in trouble. And, like, just coming here every day, like it was like I look forward to it, like coming here on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It was the best thing ever.
Yeah, that's so relatable. If you're somebody listening who has had an injury before, or like a substantial injury, like Paul is, in the, I would say the back end of it, but really in terms of life, in the middle of it now after his Achilles tear. I tore my pec back when I was powerlifting, and it's like the psychological work is even harder than the physical work. You feel like that, Packard?
No, 100%. Like, and like even like not even like talking about the workout side. Like I remember just like waking up in the morning. Like you take like the little things for granted. Like you wake up in the morning. Like my mom couldn't take every day off, so I was still in the sling. And like, how do you make breakfast with one hand? How do you scoop with one hand? I couldn't drive. Weren't allowed to drive for like 2 months. Like it was hard. Like it really was. But like got through it. Just kept going every day. You just gotta find like little things in your day. Like if it was either like touching my elbow or my shoulder one day. Like if it was like go to a lift, like something little every day to like win every day. It gets easier because then you see larger jumps and it makes it that much better.
Right. Do you feel like you got into like depression territory at all or no?
I would say pretty close. Yeah, my mom like kind of said something to me. She was like, I noticed like you're not okay, and I was like, yeah, like I'm struggling. Like I knew it, and like that's kind of, I don't know if you guys know this, but like that's why I went back to school. So like I kind of got to a good point where like I started throwing again, and I was like, there's nowhere to throw, and I was like, dude, like mentally I'm so like I'm just out of it. Like everyone was at school, all my friends were gone. I had no one. Like I was just on my own every day. I'd lift for 4 or 5 hours. I'd go home and play video games all night. Like that's all I did. There was no one else. Like everyone was gone. And I was like, I called Raz one night. I was like, Coach, I gotta come back to school. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, I just mentally, I just can't do it. And like, there's nowhere to throw. Like during COVID, like the pandemic, it was so hard. And
We still had a wall up.
yeah, the wall is still here. But he was like, dude, like if you do what you want, like I'd love to have you. Like, love having you around. Like come help out and do what you gotta do. And that's what I did. And very glad I did that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
He gets an A+ for a team manager. I'm gonna tell you that.
All-American iPad guy.
All-American.
Carried
We
the
had 3
most
All-Americans last
equipment
year.
ever. I was the equipment guy, PT guy. From everything I learned, I'd make food. Like I did everything.
Is that what made you want to study this in school? Like going through this, like you said, but and then
Yeah.
helping guys when you got back.
I
to
just learned so much, and like I'm kind of like a nerd about it. Like I love to learn more. Like I'll always find something interesting about it, and like every time a pitcher was like sore or hurt, Raz was like, "Yo, Pack, take him." Like every time, like he would just send everyone to me because like I just learned so much, and like I just like kind of fell in love with it. 'Cause, like there's always something you can do. Like if it's like a mobility thing, there's always something more you can do, something else you can work on, and like I don't know, just it's like never ending. It's cool.
Yeah, that's the best part. Like whatever your career is, like being a lifelong learner. Like I wish I could do 10 different things at once. There's not enough time in the day, but it's
Yeah.
like to be able to continuously like learn and be around people and make improvements and read new this or try this new thing, Paul. It's like
Yeah. I mean, even just, going off of what Packard said, like all the stuff that I've learned through my PT process, and I go to Tommy, from Pat's PT and everything, but like all the stuff that I've learned in this process has allowed me to, one, expand what we now call our trainable menu for people. So like being able to like, okay, somebody's got a torn ACL. All right, you can still lift like a savage on your left side or your right side or your other side, do a bunch of fucking arm stuff, but the more you do, the better you're gonna feel and the faster you're gonna come back. Like I'm what's today, the 12th? So I'm literally almost exactly 4 months post injury, not even 4 months post surgery. But like I'm back to, I'm squatting 275. I could squat more than that, but I'm trying to be smart about it and work my way up slowly, listen to my PT. But, squatting, decent amount of weight, deadlifting a decent amount of weight and everything like that, everything comes back faster to you when you're doing that. And then, again, it's allowed me to help kids on the mental aspect of it. Like that's the thing that I've gotten out of it more than anything is like, how can I help a kid that's going through the injury or a college student going through an injury or even an adult going through it? Like how can I help them with the mental aspect of this, because that is the hardest part. Like
It was so tough.
yeah,
Like,
you talked about not driving, right?
yeah, that was like,
that's the hardest part.
if you need something, like you want to go somewhere, you can't.
I couldn't.
Like, mentally, it was so hard. Like I did not expect getting surgery. I was like, this is gonna be awful. I can't lift. Like, but like mentally, I was always a kid to like I was like the happiest kid. I'd always make everyone laugh. Like I was always a kid. Like if I didn't talk, like you knew something was wrong.
Mhm.
And like I got to that point, and that's when mom said something, and I was like,
Moms know.
my mom knew. Yeah.
Moms know, man. Moms know.
Shout out, Mom.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so something else that we talked about a couple podcasts ago with Rob, Paul, with kids playing multiple sports. In fact, talk about playing football.
Yeah.
Let's go down the list. Greg, what'd you play growing up?
I mean, I play like rec basketball, but
Okay.
everything I've done my whole life is baseball.
That's been baseball. Pack?
I played football. I played high school soccer, football. Played lacrosse, baseball, basketball. Played it all.
Right.
Pack, I picture you as like Evan McPherson from the Bengals walking out there and being like, "We're going to the Super Bowl."
Dude,
Just kicking
I
the
was-
game winner.
Funny story. They call me Reliable Ryan in my hometown. That was a real thing. I had a game winner against the #1 team in the state to win 10-7 my senior year.
It surprises me zero. Surprises me not at all.
Dude, I was
Ice
a
water.
problem. My right
Ice
foot
water.
was a problem.
Ice in the veins.
Yeah, I just fear God.
Ty, what about you?
I was basketball. I was like on and off, like basketball, baseball, hockey, football, like
Yeah.
kind of all over the place. Hockey and baseball were probably my two big ones, though.
I see you as a hockey guy.
Yeah.
100% see you as a hockey guy.
I was a little scrappy winger, just put the puck in when I had to.
I feel like you'd be fucking people up on the.
Oh
ice.
yeah, I actually hurt someone, and I was scared to hit after that.
Okay.
Like I put someone in a wheelchair, and it was really bad.
that can
Yeah,
definitely give you.
kind of screwed me up a little bit. I was like, you know what? Like that
Pretty
kind
sure.
of sucks.
Pretty sure Duda's a big hockey guy too.
He
I can
is
see Duda on the skates, man.
Shout out, Duda. He's
Shout out
Duda in
Duda,
the-
absolute beast.
academy boy.
Yeah, dude, we got Duda and Luke Paz in the audience. This is
They're
our first.
posted.
This is our first audience for the podcast,
Yeah,
man.
putting a little
Get
pressure
him
on
a
Mike.
beer.
Oh, we good. We good.
A lot of firsts over here, huh?
Yeah,
A lot, man. Okay, so you were rec basketball just like a little bit, but other than that,
Yeah.
baseball.
Baseball.
But what was your year like with baseball? Like you play high school baseball, you played travel baseball,
High school, travel, fall, all of it.
fall, pitching the whole time.
Nah, I played first when like in high school and stuff, and like I took hitting more. Like honestly, when I was younger, I took hitting more serious than pitching.
Right.
It's like I like hitting bombs or whatever, and then as I got older and older, and guys were beating me more, and it was like, and I started pitching. Like I realized I had the talent to pitch. Like I had the arm to, it just wasn't where it needed to be.
Right. Right.
So,
then
I
you
mean,
started
did
to
you start
focus more on
pitching?
that.
When?
Yeah.
When I first started playing baseball.
Like
Which
when
was-
did you really start taking pitching more seriously though? Like when did that switch flip from like, okay, I'm gonna hit fucking bombs to I'm gonna throw gas?
Probably Herkimer, honestly.
So you
Last
were still so it still was up until like you were in college. Like you were still like
After my
you weren't a
freshman-
PO in high school.
I wasn't, no, not in high school. My freshman fall at Herc, Ravs was like, "You're just gonna pitch for us," and I was like, "The hell does that mean?" And then I could see myself doing it. I was like, "All right," and then I had bad outings. I wasn't as good, whatever, and it I was like, "Man, I don't really want to do this anymore. It's not fun." And then Raz told me, he was like, "Listen, you're gonna either come back and dominate, or you're just gonna do nothing." And that's when I took that year, and I was like, "All right, let's just focus on pitching. Let's get where I need to be or whatever." And then once I got back in the winter or the spring, whatever, I took it more serious, and I was like, I need to do this the rest of my life.
Nice. So you went from a pitcher only to a flamethrower only. Is essentially what happened.
Essentially.
Yeah. I took that term from Packard because I'll never forget the day you texted Dan.
Quit his job.
He goes, Dan, I quit my job. I'm a full-time flamethrower.
That's real, right?
That's real.
Oh,
That's real.
100%.
That's real talk.
Yeah, we were in Oneonta throwing a bullpen, and he didn't hit the velo he wanted. He goes, "Fuck this, I'm quitting my job." He's like, I'm texting Dan right now. Text him, shows him. He goes, "It's done." Because
All
I
right,
quit.
here, you can't just say quit my job. Okay, my job, I was pretty much a logger. So like, you wake up, I was up at like 6:30, and like I logged for like 10 hours. It was like landscaping, but like it was heavy. Like picking up rocks and boulders, you don't think it's tired, but doing that for 8 to 10 hours, you are dead by the time you get home. So then I had to lift, and I had to do PT and throw. I was just like so exhausted, and I was like, nah. Like, I didn't do this for 10 months to throw 85. Like, let's go. Like,
Yeah.
So it was just the best option.
You
for
bet
me.
on yourself.
Exactly.
Like,
Right.
sometimes that's what that's the best route to go.
Right. Like Greg, what would you tell a high schooler who's putting all their eggs, like they're like, I'm not gonna hit, I'm not gonna play position, I'm just gonna pitch.
What would I say to them?
Yeah. Like do it, don't do it.
I mean, it depends. Pitching is, it takes a lot of work. Like the process of pitching's mundane. It's like, I wake up, I do the same thing every day. Soft tissue work, mobility, I take about 45 minutes to even pick up a baseball, and it's like certain days like I'll get up and I'm like, I don't want to do this. This is boring. And then I get my day going, I start throwing, and I'm like, well, I do throw decently hard. Like I have a shot. So it's like, if you're in the middle, I don't know, you got to find what you like better. Like I liked hitting. I hit last summer just for the fun of it. And like I ended up hitting 6 homers. I hit 350, like just for fun. And I'm like, okay. And then it's
Scumbag. Fucking picks up a bat and he hits 6 homers. Scumbag.
Hitting's easy.
like hitting.
No, it is not.
It's easy.
It's not. Do you see how hard he throws? How is that easy?
Listen, people, as a
Let me
pitcher,
ask you.
Hitting is
the
easy.
last time you picked up a bat, the tee fell on the ground 4 times in a row on 4
Do you remember my
consecutive
first?
swings.
Do you remember my first? I did have an at bat this fall. You know, I was off a machine throwing like 87, and my head coach was not watching because I would have been running suicides. Our hitting coach, it was like 1-2, and he was like treating me like a hitter. He's like, put it into play, figure it out, hit a double off the wall. Easy. People just think too much. Dude, just bat the ball. Like, be an athlete. And people are like, oh, it's my hips, it's a tennis ball. It's like, dude, come on, hit the ball.
You know, that
Couldn't be me.
I needed that in my life.
Couldn't be me.
Oh man.
You're a catcher. It's different.
No, it's, yeah.
Listen, name how many good catchers in Major
The
League
thing
Baseball
is, though,
are
like,
good
I'm
hitters?
so used to being a good hitter.
How many?
Because, like, in high school, like, I was such a good hitter. And then, like, college came around, and last year was the most I've ever struggled with a bat in my hand.
So how was that mental battle going from like
Oh, it was awful.
you know, because you went to Saugerties, right?
Yeah.
Smaller school, going to like now you're going to JUCO and you're struggling. Like how'd that help affect you mentally?
I mean, it was more so like the not playing every day. Like, I was behind an All-American, region player of the year. Like, you know, Yuzuki, love him. He's like, you know, he was way better. Like, I was just clearly not fit for the job. And now I'm okay with that. You know, like, I just didn't do my thing. But, you know, I think that it was I think I learned a lot more. Like, I learned how to, you know, deal with it. Like, you know, deal with failure, like, more than success. Like, I think this year, like, last year has trained me more so that this year will be a little better for me. Like, with confidence, with, you know, having a better approach. Like, you know, you know what the expectation is, and you just kind of have to meet the expectation at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like, you know, battling through that adversity, you know, you'll know how to deal with.
It sucks.
Deal when you'll be able to get out of that hole faster. Like, you may get into a hole, but you'll get out of it faster now because of what you went through last year.
My first 60 at-bats in the PGCBO, or my first 50-something at-bats, I was batting under 100.
Yeah, I
It was
remember.
awful, and I
remember you
finished
would come in here.
256. Like, I mean, hitting's so streaky, and it's so, like, the one day I started hitting, I didn't give a flying fuck. I showed up to the field, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to try to hit ground balls my first round. Did it, and then the next round, I started hitting the ball well, and I'm like, all right, maybe I'll actually hit the ball today.
Yeah.
I think part of athletics is like knowing when to really give a fuck and when to not really give a fuck. Does that make sense?
I think that's the difference between a lot of people.
Explain.
Like, people are like, say gamers, you got a game, like, oh, I can turn it on. But like the difference between like Division 1, Division 2, Division 3 athletes, kids who are Division 1 athletes or just like high level athletes, they can turn it on whenever. Like, oh, I gotta go to the gym. Like, you gotta turn it on. Like, oh, you gotta, like, you can always flip that switch when you need to, not just when you're playing. Like, at practice, you gotta take practice and warm up just as you would if you were going to start in a regional game.
Right.
Like, you just gotta flip that switch. And I think that's a difference in a lot of people. They just like, oh, I gotta stretch. Like, oh, I gotta just going through the motions. But like the guys who like take that serious, take everything serious, are like, it's the difference.
Yeah, I agree.
Definitely.
I went through some adversity catching the other day. Oh
Mike,
my.
Mike, I'm not going to lie. We
Yeah.
might need to do work on your framing after this.
You think so?
At least he tried. He tried to frame it though.
He did try. He
he's
had
a
he had
boss for
good,
that.
like, textbook, you know, it looked pretty good.
He's gotta catch the ball
And then
first.
all of a sudden the ball just went behind him. And I was like, oh.
Shout out Garrison.
Yeah, so the other day we got a kid in here on the Mets, and he has his first like real pen before spring training. And we didn't have a catcher for him because like middle of the day, college kids are at school, all the high schoolers are in school. I'm like, well, I'm not gonna make this guy throw into the net. Like, I'm gonna fucking gear up right now. And all of a sudden, second pitch is like 91, and I'm like, oh holy shit, what did I just sign up for?
Mike, I'm not going to lie. They come in fast, don't they?
Oh my, 82
Dude,
would come in fast.
I know.
91.
You're telling me, dude. I know. And these guys just keep trying to throw harder every pound. I'm like, bro, like, stop.
It was scary.
Like, stop.
It's scary. So then I told myself, let me just work on some framing. And it was all downhill from there, Ty.
The worst part is when they don't know where it's going.
So he's
They're
throwing.
like, oh, let me try this grip. All right, yeah, here's a spike change up in the dirt that
Oh,
just picked up
yeah,
4
so-
miles an hour and hits off my wrist.
So
Thank
he's,
you.
So he's throwing 90, 90, 91, 91. And I'm like, just give me the off speed now. I can't handle this anymore. He throws his first curveball. I don't know what to do, and I turn to the side, and it just
on
and it just nails me right in like the oblique, and I'm like, oh my god.
It's like, give
So-
me fastballs.
So yeah, Ty, catching is man, it's tough.
We get shit on a lot, and you don't
What?
realize just how hard it is sometimes.
It's not an easy task. I won't get behind. I said the other day, somebody asked me if I was ever going to get behind the plate. I was like, yeah, for one of our 12-year-olds, I'll get behind the plate. That's about it.
Yeah, that was quite the experience. I'll do it again though, Ty. I got to work on it.
All right, sounds good.
We got this one for you next time.
Yeah.
Give me like 2 more weeks.
Dude,
Greg.
not even like I don't even want to know. Like I play catch with him every day, and like this kid like has no feel. We'll be warming up. I'm not like we throw plyo balls. First time he gets a baseball, you see him go as fast as he can, and I'm just like holy. And then he like goes back in this huge like motion, like and he just throws it. It's,
He
like
stands
85.
20 feet away from me, and I'm like,
We're warming
fuck.
up, and
I don't
like,
know where
he
how
just-
hard this is gonna pack's like easy. I'm like, I'll try.
Dude, like it's
I let it- I
scary.
just throw the
I
ball
move
and it
back
flies
as
out.
fast as possible. Like, dude, playing catch, he has no feel. He just throws 85 plus from the get-go. And I'm like, dude, we're 20 feet away. My hand-eye coordination is up there
It's
now.
got it. You ever think about dry scooping it? Maybe it would help.
We'll have to get on that.
Help that focus, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I think a big thing, though, is, like, you know, all these guys throw differently, too. Like, some of them throw really hard, and it's really light. Some of them throw like they're throwing a 50-pound barbell at, like a kettlebell at you. It's like, oh, okay. That was a kettlebell that I just caught. Like,
Like, you know, it's one of the more impressive things I've seen, other than Packard, like, putting down 2 bangs in 30 minutes.
30 minutes, that's a stretch. It might be 15.
The days when I was going for a PR, dude, it was like under 15.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was intense.
But Ty, was the day when we were just, like, testing out the Rapsodo here, and you would guess the velo
I was dead on.
dead on every single time.
I got my IDAR, man. I call it the IDAR.
So,
That's just-
so essentially, we don't need a radar gun. We need a tie gun.
I don't.
I mean, sometimes I'm off.
A tie dart.
I'm off sometimes. When I'm catching it, it's a lot easier. When I'm, like, watching it, like, hitting, it seems a lot harder than it always is.
It's hard to tell though, because like 90 out of my hand compared to 90 out of his hand looks
So
completely
different.
different.
What do you
Like
mean?
So
it- like
different.
if you were watching from the side and Greg threw 90, it would look like 85. But if I threw 90, or
It
like
looked
if
like a
Cuz
whiz.
threw 90, it would be like, he's like holy sh-. Because he's just so big and it looks so effortless because
That's what it is.
He just glide-
effortless.
and it just looks different. But like when you step in, you're like holy shit.
Right.
I think as a hitter, too, it's ridiculous. Like, you know, a guy with higher spin rate, like, that thing's coming in. Like, it might not look hard, like, from the side, but, like, different balls play differently. Like, 87, that spins and goes down, like, that's almost easier than facing a guy that's throwing 91 with a flat ball. You know what I mean?
And like seeing 6'6", 245 with 30-inch quads on the mound, with his Oakley glasses that are lime green, like looking at you, like with his nose covered, like dude, like buckle up, like it's coming.
Yeah.
Get ready to fucking go.
Yeah, this is why I love baseball. It's so unique. Like, you can have so many different body types. Like, just look at pitchers that are so good. Like,
It's crazy.
like, right? You got, like, Randy Johnson, and then you got, like, Pedro, or you got, like,
That's what I was just
Lincecum,
thinking.
and you got, like, fucking Bartolo Colon, right? But, like,
Chapman just benches like 315 for
Right.
reps and throws 105.
right. Yeah.
Right. Then you got the Greg Maddox of the world, who's like the stay-at-home dad, but he'll fucking pinpoint 87 mile
He
an hour.
used to throw
anywhere.
gas though. You knew that, right? He used to
Yeah,
throw
what,
gas.
92?
Yeah. Back then, that was cheese.
That was
Back then,
cheese,
yeah,
you
back
know.
then that's like 100 now.
Yeah.
92 still plays in today's game, though,
Right.
but you better have 3 pitches to go off.
Yeah,
Right.
Moving,
Greg
too.
Maddox is going to tell you, I'm going to throw it over the outside corner, and you're still not going to hit it.
Right.
He's going
That's
to tell you,
what Mariano
and that's where he's
Rivera
going to throw it, over the outside corner. He'll throw it exactly where he said. And that's like the big thing I feel like, too, now with all this velo stuff is like you lose a lot of those crafty guys. Those
Yeah.
guys that, they may only throw 87, 88, 90, but they got the filthiest fucking changeup or the filthiest slider or curveball, and they can get you out on those pitches, and they just use their fastball to kind of set those things up. And I feel like that gets lost a little bit, especially when you're talking the higher levels, like the Division I levels. Like, they're not looking at a guy throwing 87, even though he's getting everybody out.
Crafty guys are like, it's not a thing anymore.
Like velo matters. Like you're not getting,
95 is the new 90. Like, there's kids in like the 2024 class who are like sitting 90, 91. Kids touching 100 in high school. It's like, how did back in the 1990s kids were like 85? And kids are now throwing 100 miles an hour. Like, what's changed?
I think science has changed.
That's how crazy.
I mean,
in only a
This stuff
short
right
period
here.
of time.
This stuff right here is
It's crazy.
changed
It's game
everything.
changing. It's crazy.
Right, like I think you have to take just the knowledge of like biomechanics and then the science to be able to look at video and look at spin rate, and then you have strength training and how far that has become, and then you have specific movement patterns and how to train that. Just like the science and the technology is, and it obviously takes work ethic underneath all that. Like you can fucking measure the velocity on the bar and look at your mechanics and do this, but like if you don't work hard, eat a lot of food and lift some weights, like that shit doesn't matter, right?
But, like, the movement pattern is probably, and like the way your body moves is by far the most important. Like, I could probably lift with any MLB player there is. Like, it doesn't matter what lift, but they're gonna throw the ball 6 miles per hour harder than me. Just by the way my body does not move like Walker Buehler does. Like, his body's just so smooth. And it's just 95, 96. Like,
right.
but he's not that big, but he's strong in the right areas. So
Right.
like, it's just, there's so many things that go into it.
Well, yeah, and that goes back to just movement quality overall. Like, yeah, you can go fucking squat 315, but how's your like movement pattern? Is your movement quality good? Because then once you get the movement quality, everything else comes into place. Like, it all falls into place, and that's something that, being 31 and whatnot, like I learned it later on, unfortunately, but you learn that and then you pass that on to other people, and hopefully they can learn that younger, and I can give them that shortcut. Let's not go through the same mistakes that I made with my weight training or Mike made with his or whatever. Let's cut this here so that way you can improve your movement quality. And like, that's something I really stress with, like, especially the younger kids. They come in here, they might see you squatting 600 pounds and they're like, oh, I want to fucking do that. And I'm like, yeah, we'll get there, don't worry. Like, movement quality first. Like, let's worry about like moving this fast and moving this well before we add on 100 more pounds.
You guys definitely taught me that a lot. Like, I remember the first time I reverse lunge in here, I could only reverse lunge like 135, and they were like, how? Like, it just doesn't translate. And like, now, like, you just taught me like the movement like quality, and like it helped so much. It changed my life.
Yeah, I think high schoolers missed that, and it's just like the old school like football lifting. Like, we're gonna bench heavy and we're gonna squat
bench,
heavy,
squat, deadlift
heavy, which is like good, right? Like, it's nice to
Yeah.
do that, and it's gonna have some like carry over to your sport. But like, sport happens on one leg. Like, okay, you could deadlift 450, but like, you can't reverse lunge 135. We got an issue here.
It gets to a point where you're too strong.
Agree.
Honestly.
Explain that, because I do agree.
This guy, Pack, is one of those guys. Like,
Okay.
Packard has the strength and the size to throw hard. And like, he talks to me every day. He's like, what the fuck? And like, when he's throwing, he's like 600-pound squat. He can deadlift a fuck ton. I don't know. And it's like, I'm nowhere near those numbers. But like we were saying, the movement, like, you take a guy like Chris Sale, who's 185 pounds. He's 6'6". And he'd been up to 100 before, like, when he was younger. I think people try to train, like, you can train the squat, bench, deadlift, and then you to get those strength measures, like, to get that, like, those lifts under your belt. But like, when you gotta train as an athlete,
It's different.
like, when you train like a bodybuilder, it doesn't translate.
You're gonna move like a bodybuilder if you
Right.
train like a
I
bodybuilder.
would love to know the difference. Like, say, take me for an example. There's a 405-pound squat compared to a 600-pound squat. Like, what is the difference in my athletic? Like, where does that play on the field?
I
Like,
think-
I don't know if there's a difference.
There may not be for you. That's a decision when we talk programming for kids, when we're having meetings or we're saying what's this kid's next program, we have to weigh the risk and the reward. So if we increase the load, does the risk of injury significantly increase? If not, then we can't increase the load. And then what is your like genetic predisposition? Like, so when you're talking about strength training, you have this spectrum, right? You have on this right side, you have like maximal strength. This is your 1RM, your fucking grind out deadlift and squat. Then you have your maximal speed. This is your 10-yard dash, your 30-yard dash. This is how fast you can move your body. Now, some people are like, genetically going to be more on this max like strength end. They're going to be better at lifting really heavy loads. And some guys are going to be way faster. They're going to be better at doing their sprints. So it's like we got to figure out when we're training somebody, what are they already really good at, whether it's because of how they are genetically or because of how they've been training. Maybe this athlete, let's just take you for example, that maybe you've only been, I know it's not the case, but let's just pretend you've only been training like a power lifter, moving really heavy loads really slow, but you haven't been throwing medicine balls or sprinting or doing plyometrics. You've kind of tapped yourself out over here. Mm-hmm. So if you've tapped yourself out here, like taking your 500 squat and training you to go 600, like not going to move the dial in your performance.
That can be like really like mentally frustrating.
But you have to learn.
Yeah, and like it's, for example, you say like both sides. Like I'm pretty fast for a PI. I mean, I run 6'5".
Correct.
Like, and like it's been so frustrating to me because I couldn't find. I was struggling to translate it to the field.
Right.
Like I'm really close to like figuring it out, and like I just feel like once I do, I'm gonna see it jump.
And you and Greg are also pitchers, man. It's the most unique thing in sports. You're taking your arm overhead, you're rotating, you're moving in all three planes of motion. It's like very unique. So then you have what we just talked about with strength training, and then you just have the mechanics of throwing. So now it's like, how does my body move? What's my mobility overhead? What's my ability to rotate my hips and my shoulders, and then how can I separate them, and how fast can I move? It's like there's so many variables.
That's one of the hardest things. Like really like getting into like separating your hips and your shoulders can be really tough.
Yeah,
they really can.
Well, I'm sure for you, being somebody that football lifted and didn't really focus on the mobility side of things, it's you're kind of trying to correct things that you've compounded because maybe you weren't as mobile before. And now, because of all the heavy lifting you did, you restrict your mobility more. So now, obviously you've worked a lot since then, since Tommy John. So you've come a long way, but like you're still trying to find that, work yourself out of that like tightness.
I've always been so tight. Like for the first time, 2 weeks ago, I touched my toes standing up. And it was like the coolest thing. I would rather.
Shout out Ryan Packard.
I was like so happy, and they were like, "Did you touch your toes?" I was like, "You have no idea. I've been trying to do this since I was like 12, and I finally did it."
Yeah, I think that's one of the benefits of starting strength training younger is just, and it doesn't mean you're loading things heavy, but it means just like learning good movement patterns, like moving things fast, like putting yourself under some load, like to be able to be more balanced in terms of your body. And obviously you're going to be better at one thing or the other. Just as you get older, it's like you're now just, you're doing things on this whole end of the spectrum. And playing different sports gives you that as well. Like you playing in a soccer game or a football game is going to give you a different stimulus than playing in a baseball game.
Well, and like the explosiveness you're going to get from other sports usually will help translate over to, whether it's you're a pitcher or whatever. Like if you're playing, basketball or football or soccer, there's a lot, like you said, different movement patterns, different explosiveness that you have to have. So when you're doing those and then you go play baseball and like, let's say, for instance, cutting left and right, like when we do fucking like hide-ins in here and whatnot, like that's loading up the hip, that's getting power from the hip. So like that should translate over to you as a pitcher in some way. And then it's a matter of like, okay, now mechanics, separation, all that kind of stuff. How do I translate that into the same hip movement that I'm doing in football, basketball, soccer, whatever it is?
Yeah,
change of direction.
But you're a learner, Pac. Like you were just in Florida learning.
I was. Yeah, that was probably one of the best experiences ever. It's like a different style of training down there. Like I never once loaded up a bar. Like, it was like not something I've never done before. It was a lot of like water ball, like the little workouts that everyone hates to do and will skip. It was like all those things and like just rotational stuff. It was just like opened up a whole new world to like training.
Yeah, that's where baseball's so unique. Just the rotation and being able. I think we've learned that more over the past handful of years. It's just that like we got to make sure you're rotating efficiently, or that your body can do it first. Like, can your hip actually rotate?
Can your hip rotate? Can
your shoulder actually go overhead and rotate? If not, we got to do mobility. We got to make sure your joints can do it. Okay, now they can. Can you actively do it? Like, can you control your rotation? Okay, now you can. Like, now can you do it quickly? And then now can you translate it to the? It's a lot, man.
Yeah.
Fuck, I'm glad I'm not a pitcher. I'm a catcher, Ty. I'm happy I'm a catcher.
Yeah, man. I mean, hitting and pitching are kind of similar, though, for being honest.
For sure.
Like the movements are very similar. I mean, they throw the ball really hard. We just try to hit it. But
the rotation is very similar.
Like the lower half is very similar. Like if you look at it, like it's like side by side, it's similar movements, you know.
Right.
Like a lot of the stuff we do, like you would do in here with a pitcher or even a hitter, like it would be right around the same. Like it helps a lot, like with our, you know, hitting mechanically, like working on things. Like, oh, like I just did this the other day when I was doing like you just said, a hiatus. Like,
Right.
oh, I just loaded my hip. Like, oh, it's the same thing in my swing right now. So, you know, there's so many different things that translate from your gym to, you know, your hitting session.
Right.
For sure.
And the amount of times we're having somebody do a scoop toss or a shot put that's not a pitcher. And I go, are you right-handed or left-handed? And they're doing the right side. I'm right-handed. I'm like, all right, now act like you're hitting with your legs. Like, act like you're hitting. And then the difference in how much velocity they get on that ball is like, it's like you feel the difference there. I'm like, yeah, that's what you need to do every time. Harder every time. Like, and that's, you know, coming back to what we were talking about, the difference in training is like, okay, yeah, you may be able to lift 600 pounds, but how fast can you move 315? Right? How fast can you move 405? You know, if you can squat 600 pounds, how fast can you move those other weights that are sub-maximal? You know, because the only way you're going to get faster is if you move shit fast. You know, that's the only way that's going to happen. You know, just like the only way you're going to get stronger is if you lift things heavier. You know, over the course of time. You know, so same thing applies to speed and agility. Is like you got to move things faster and do things with intent. Like that's the biggest thing. Like you talked about before. Like, don't just go through the motions with those aqua ball things or as simple as like a side plank. Like, don't just sit there in a side plank and just like hold the position. Like, really get everything activated.
Right.
The
You know,
hip abductor one, the side plank where you put your what's that called?
the side plank clamshells.
Side plank
You gotta like put like your leg up on the bench,
Oh,
and the other
the-
one
Oh,
underneath.
adduction side planks.
Copenhagen planks.
Those
Yeah.
are
Those suck.
Those fucking
Those-
suck. Shout out Copenhagen planks. Those are brutal.
those make me like rethink a lot of things.
Fuck you, Tommy G, for making me do those in PT.
Those are not fun.
But no, people overcomplicate things, and like whether it's because of the internet or because of social media, we shit on social media all the time. I'm on it every day. But
I'm on it every day too.
It's tough,
You have
man.
to be.
But one of the first things I learned in college in our like strength and conditioning class was this principle called the SAID principle.
Yep.
Specific adaptations to impose demands. Whatever you place on your body, like those are the adaptations you're gonna get. And you're like, you gotta always keep that in mind. Like if you throw med balls fast and rotate fast, your body's gonna learn to rotate fast. If you lift heavy weight slow, your body's gonna learn to lift heavy weight slow. That's what it's gonna get better at. It's the most simple thing, but it's forgotten about. You're trying to overcomplicate all this stuff, and it's like, what do I want to get better at? Let's train that.
Yeah.
Like, let's train my body to do that. I don't need to do. There's a time and a place for a fancy breathing drill or a mobility drill. It's like, let's train what I want to work on. It gets overlooked, and it's the
It
simplest
does
thing.
a lot. And like, I don't know about like Packard, like for you, like with me going through this rehab process and everything, like that's something that I find myself, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get under 275. I know I can squat way fucking more than that, but I'm gonna move this shit as fast as I can. I'm only doing 5 reps or 8 reps or whatever. I'm gonna move it as fast as I can. Do you feel like going through that Tommy John experience kind of like switched your mentality on like weight training? Obviously it did with the mobility stuff, but like as far as like how to move the weights, quality of weight movement, all that
for
kind
sure.
of stuff.
Like especially like when for a while like you can't really like grip things. So like there's a lot of things I had to do light. So it was just like, and you guys always say like emphasize like move it as fast as you can. Even if it was 225 on the deadlift bar, move it as fast as possible. And you guys would just watch me. And like if I like had my like chin up or something, you'd like put your chin up, like something like that. And like I just learned to like it matters a lot more than just loading the bar up.
Right. Well, that's for sure. There's always something to work on. Like, okay, Greg, what is your biggest focus right now with your mechanics? Like, where's your brain at? What are you working on?
You ever hear of this thing called the drift going down the mound? It's where you move your torso. Like, yeah, it's hard to explain. When you get to peak leg lift, you want to have like moved your mass from your back leg down the mound further, so you have more momentum going down the mound and getting in that hinge to rotate more. And that'll, I mean, honestly, the drift will, like if you learn that, like it took me 3 months to learn it, which is not the longest time, but it's hard to teach other guys. And like when I learned that movement, I figured it out. Like that will give you 3 miles per hour easily.
So like transitioning your weight sooner towards
moving
the mound.
my weight down the mound instead of staying back over my back hip, and like getting my arm on time at foot strike. Like people have like late arms here, like or here, like that leads to arm injuries when you're throwing from here, like because then you're leading your elbow first and all that other stuff. Like when you get your arm flipped up and within like 90 degrees roughly. You're not gonna be perfect. Like I've been focused on getting that close to 90. I still struggle with it a little bit. Like I know it's something I need to work on, which I've been focused on with plyos, just dry work, playing catch. Like when I get the foot down, I want to be ready to go. And if my arm's not on time, I'm not gonna be ready to go.
Right. That makes sense. Like always something to work on, man. Like where are you at right now, Pac? Like what are the biggest things you're working on?
Honestly, it's like my rotate my hip to shoulder like separation is like bad. Like everything else is pretty good. Like my drift is pretty good. Getting down the mountain, I get in really good positions, but I'm having trouble like snapping my leg and sending all my momentum back up through my body before I release. And I've released the ball way too early.
Right.
So like that's one big thing I've been trying to work on recently.
Like what do you mean sending force back up through your body?
So when you rotate properly, your front leg is pretty much gonna lock out or be straight just by like the way your hips rotate. And I rotate my hips too late, so by the time I'm out here and releasing the ball,
Right.
I'm like still driving force into the ground instead of coming back up and coming out.
Right.
You ever see a Roldis Chapman throw?
Yeah.
You ever notice how his front leg's bent in like
Or
that?
Ian Anderson like that.
Yeah.
That's from ground force. You send force from your back leg up your body to your arm, and when you rotate in that front side and you lock it out, like lead leg lock, that's what it's called.
Then you throw over top.
When you
of
learn that, it sends it back up through here and goes back to your arm, and you get that pull down effect. Like everybody's like pull it down, they don't really care. They just try to throw it as hard as they can.
Right.
But if your body's not synced up, your body's not in time, you're not throwing harder.
So you're saying, like, you got to be thinking about your lower half. You got to be thinking about force down into the ground.
If your lower half, it starts from the ground. If your lower half's not clean or like good, like it doesn't have to be perfect, but if it's not like where it needs to be, you won't be a high level thrower.
Right.
The ground, like people don't realize that like the mound, using that ground will give you velocity.
Right.
Like when you learn how to use force and like where you need to be in time and space and learn how your body moves, it's the velocity just keeps climbing. It's endless.
Well,
Right.
I think that's any sport when you think about it. Like, and it's funny that you say it starts from the ground, because anytime we get a new kid in here or whatever, and we start foam rolling, what do we start with? Feet. Arches of your feet. And the first thing I say to them, I'm like, where does everything in your sport start? Like from your feet, from the ground up. Like whether you play football, unless you're a swimmer, like,
Yeah.
but anything that's like where you're literally physically on the ground, like everything starts from the ground up. Whether it's football, basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer, it doesn't matter. It all starts from the ground up. If you're not stable there, powerful from there,
Right.
then there's going to be a chain reaction up the rest of your body.
Well, think about our cues. You're cueing a reverse lunge or a deadlift. Like, what external cue are you giving?
Drive through the ground.
Push you to ground.
Right.
Push you to ground. Like, yeah, it starts in the weight room, and
Yeah.
then being able to translate that. Like, that's for sure, man. You guys lifting right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
sure.
ever. I think when coaches tell kids, like just to touch on it, like don't lift in season, you're gonna get tired. You lose gains.
Right.
You'll lose velocity. Your mobility will go away. Because when you're in season, you're only like as a pitcher. When my day to throw, I'm using this side of my body more, like the upper half wise. Like I'm still using my legs, both of them obviously, but I'm doing so many. I'm using this side of my body so much in the game, 80 plus pitches. I think that like I need to be lifting. I need to do mobility. I need to reset my body after a start. Because if after a start I go home, I don't do shit the rest of the week or whatever, it's just I'm gonna slowly decline. I'm gonna get hurt.
So your mindset changes, reset my body. That's what you're thinking.
Like
when
I threw today. I threw live today. Tomorrow I won't pick up a ball. I'll literally just try to loosen up my body again.
Right.
Like try to get my body back to day one.
Right.
Literally, just reset my body, get it ready for my next appearance.
Yep.
Well, and it's funny you say that too, because I'll talk to sometimes parents or even kids, and I'm like, how long's a Major League Baseball season? 9 months? You telling me Giancarlo Stanton stays that big, not lifting weights?
You
9
have
months?
to.
Like Aaron Judge,
Right.
all these guys in the Major League Baseball, they're not lifting for 9 months out of the year? Like, no, they are. It's just, how are they lifting?
Right.
What are they doing?
You obviously gotta be smart. I mean,
Right.
You can't go PR every single day. Like you just gotta find the right program.
Coming from a guy that only wanted a PR before, so that's
He-
progress.
Paul,
progress.
he
I'm
does
proud of
it.
you.
It was just
He's a changed man.
I was just
I'm proud
getting
of you.
stronger.
That's it.
I just continued to. I don't know if I ever had to drop weight. Dan would be like, "You're good." I'm like, "Nah, 10 pounds, 2.5. Let's go."
Listen, Paul, he doesn't dry scoop anymore.
That's true. It's true.
You have days where like you're throwing and lifting are both like intense days. Like my schedule, like I have my everything made for me or whatever. I get it sent month by month. Like I'm in different phases. like eccentric phase, all that stuff. And like my throwing days are my most intense lifting days as well, because that way my CNS from throwing is already shot,
Right.
and then I'm gonna go lift, and I'm just gonna kill it more. The day after plays a big part. Like if I'm going out there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, like the whole week trying to pick up heavy shit, like I'm not gonna be able to perform well.
Yeah. So CNS is central nervous system. So, and we'll program more advanced people like this. It's called like a high-low model. And this sprint coach, this Olympic sprint coach, Charlie Francis, first came up with it. He'd only have his sprinters run above 95% or below 70%. He would say in the middle is taking away from their recovery. So what Greg's talking about was you're putting all your big stressors on the same day. So you're taxing your body, right?
Right.
And on the other days, you're making sure it's recovering from those really high stress days.
Right.
I think that's important. I think that people miss that as you get more trained. When you're younger and you're weak and you're new to training and you don't throw hard, sure, do some shit every day. But when you get stronger and you throw harder and now it's more accumulated stress on your body, like the value you got to place on recovery becomes way more important. And just as you get older.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't, that's something I stress anyway. If you don't recover from workout to workout, slowly but surely your workouts are going to get worse.
Right.
Like whether it's, happens to you quickly or not, but like over the course of time, you're going to be like, why am I not getting stronger? Why am I not doing that? Well, you're not getting 8 to 10 hours of sleep. You're not doing the mobility. You're not doing the little shit in between your workouts and between your lifts and, all the stuff that we put in there, the rotator cuff work, all that stuff. You're not doing that. You're just like, all right, I'm going to go hard as fuck every single time. Like your body's going to break down. Like it's just the way science works, unfortunately. I wish we could just throw 500 pounds on the squat, but I wish I could deadlift 500 pounds every single day.
I wish I could have 6 protein shakes in a day. I don't want to end up in the hospital.
This guy, this kid eats and drinks more than anyone I've ever met. Like,
Oh, look at the guy.
I mean,
it's crazy.
I feel like I don't even know, when did you start coming here?
When
When was the first day?
August?
August?
It was during the summer last year.
Yeah, I
sometime.
remember when you first came in here, and then like you came back in like recently,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Holy fucking shit! What have you been eating?" I'm like, "Bro, you put on at least 20 pounds," and you were like, "Yeah, I was like 220." I'm like 240 now. I'm like,
He's like 245.
"Yeah." I'm
Yeah.
like, "Jesus fucking Christ!"
We actually had an eating competition one day.
Did you win?
Cafeteria, baby.
Did you win,
Perks cap.
Packard?
No, I
No,
didn't. We went to the
easily
cat.
won.
And
Okay.
at our cafeteria, you get 3 meal swipes a day. So you can get like a wrap, chips, and a drink, or you can get like a hot meal, or fries, or
Like tenders, fries, all
Yeah.
that stuff.
I got 2 wraps.
Yeah.
2
I think we all got the same
parfaits,
thing. Duda
2
was in on
slices
this
of
too.
pizza,
Duda definitely won.
and
Just
2
saying.
Rice Krispie treats with 3 waters. And we had we would just be eating. I'd be in like my 5th thing, like about to throw up, and Greg just staring at me. You don't want to be great today.
Did he have his lime green glasses on?
No, I didn't. I wish.
No.
And like this dude, I'm not kidding, ate everything. And just, I'm like, oh, you're not finished out those waters. Opens them, drinks them, just slams them on the table. And I'm like, I go home, I fell asleep for like 3 hours. I was sick to my stomach. And like 3 hours
2 hours
like,
later, I'm hungry.
making a protein shake. I'm like, dude, I can't eat for 3 days. It's unreal. I mean, we buy the eggs by 60, and we probably make 30 at a time.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Dude, this
Holy shit.
I can tell you, this house that like us, like we never skip a lift and we always eat.
Is it the 3 of you and then these 2
It's
hooligans?
not. It's me, Ty, Greg, and Duda.
Okay.
Same house.
That's a crew.
Oh.
I've seen most of you in here together at some point, and yeah.
It gets ugly.
I mean, wasn't gonna say that, but okay, we'll go with that. I was gonna say rowdy.
Big Fortnite guys.
Let's just put it this way: Packard's flag saved us.
Yeah.
Very long time.
We
Not even. Don't even.
nah, we can't.
Nah,
Coach Raz,
we
we'll
can't.
tell you later.
I'll message Raz. Don't worry.
We'll get the dirty
Don't worry.
details.
But no, man, just having like people for accountability or people to push you. Like in life, you need people. You need this. I like to surround myself with people that gas me up, but that also can keep me in check. Like if I say something that's not good or not a good idea, hey, it's a fucking stupid idea. Like I think it's important people to have around you, and like seems you guys got it. Fucking
Yeah.
push each other and yeah, man.
I mean, listen. Some days I don't want to do shit. Here they come. They gotta, you know,
Yeah. It's every day.
they gotta shake me sometimes. You know
Does
what
it
I mean?
sound like a stampede
I
coming down the
appreciate
hall?
them more
Dude.
than they know,
Yeah.
and like in the end, when we raise a plaque in Tennessee, it'll be worth it.
It's
probably.
tough love.
Yeah.
I can be a dick sometimes. I know that. I like winning a lot, and I know what it takes to win. Like, we were there last year, we were close, and, like, I don't want that feeling again of losing when it matters. So, if I'm tired or Pack's tired and he's like, or Ty, whoever, like, I'm on your ass. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
You'll feel better after you do it.
It takes sacrifice.
Right.
How much have you sacrificed over the last 2 years?
A lot. Like, I don't talk to many people no more. Like, if you're not around me day to day, I don't talk to you. Like, I don't even, I talk to my parents once in a while on the phone. But, I text them, but, on the phone, not much.
Right. I understand. I think it's it's part of the path to success. You got to put good people around you, and then you got to put on your tunnel vision and
But you gotta have
fucking
people
go.
with the same goals and the same mindset. Like this,
Right.
Especially the kids I live with and live with every day. It's we all we know the feeling of last year and we refuse to let it happen
Right.
again. And with this group is just so motivated. We all get out of class 12:15, 1 o'clock we're in the room. We all know we're going to the gym. Wait, no texts have to be sent. We know. We're listening to Five Finger Death Punch. We're
I know
dry
that
screaming.
feeling.
I do. It's this group is the most motivated group of guys I've ever in my life even seen. It's unreal.
And
We
it
don't
do-
even use our school gym. We go off campus and we all buy memberships and you'll walk in and it's
You
Hurt guys.
It's
every
it's
Herkimer
hoods
baseball
up
player.
and you see 5 plates on the rack. It's
Yeah.
These guys are gone.
These guys are not
every
fucking
day.
around. Yeah, and that definitely makes a big difference. I mean, when I lived in New York City, I had 2 of my roommates, all of us worked out. And same thing. One of us would be like, fuck, I really don't want to do this today. And then the other person would be like, get your ass up, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
It's time to go, and you're going to feel better and whatnot. Like you said, you don't even need to send a text. My one friend, every morning, 7 a.m., we were at the fucking gym. This was before we even lived together. At the gym, 7 a.m. Never had to send a text. The only time I would be sitting there, I'd be doing my warm up. I'll never forget this. I'm doing just messing around on the fly machine, just waiting for him. It's 7:15. I'm this motherfucker overslept. And I'm all right. I sent him a text, got nothing. I was I'm gonna get after it. But in the grand scheme of things, more times than not, we always were there, 7 a.m. every day.
It becomes a routine.
Yeah.
Part of the routine, big routine. I like getting out of class, and when class is over, I hate class. Class is boring. I fall asleep sometimes. I don't want to go, but I'll go. And I look forward to going home and putting on headphones and going to the gym with my guys and just not caring about anything in the world
Dude,
besides what we're doing right now in the
nothing
gym.
else matters. I can't even describe you the feeling. We all just know. We're just there because in the back of our minds, we all know what we're doing. Right. Losing to Niagara was the worst thing that's ever happened to us, and it's just in the back of our mind. We'll even pull it up. I remember, you guys know Patch. One day he was squatting, going for a PR. So I'm gonna squat 405 for the first time. I took a screenshot of the final score, 10-9, losing on a walk off, and I placed it in front of him. He was the one. Don't get me wrong, Patch. I'm not atting you here. He was the one that was on the mound when we lost. It wasn't really his fault. He dominated, but I put it right in front of him, and he just shaking the bar, just rattling it. Easy money, 405.
Yeah.
It's just this group is unreal. It's scary.
Well, and I like what you said, how you guys go there and nothing else matters. You don't think about anything else. And, that's the biggest thing, whether you're an athlete or not. When you go to your workout or to your class that you're doing to lose weight or whatever it is, don't think about anything else. You're there to focus on you. Focus on what the main thing is. Keep the main thing the main thing. I say that a lot to a lot of kids. I'm keep the main thing the main thing. And they're what does that mean? I'm focus on, you and what matters and what your goals are. That's the main thing. Yeah, there's a bunch of other shit going on, whether it's social media, school, everything like that. But what's your goals? What are you trying to do? Keep the main thing.
Focus on why you're there, right?
Yeah.
Always focus on the why.
I think a lot of kids don't know why they're doing things. Parents force them to do stuff.
Mhm.
All right, they see other kids progressing, working out or eating better. Parents force the kid to do it. The kid's not gonna want to do it.
Right.
I think if you let the kid figure it out on his own, oh shit, wake up call. I need to do this to be good and keep competing. And if you don't figure that out soon enough, you're not playing no more.
Yeah, and then you also get, the parents that'll push the kid into doing something because they see this kid doing it. And they're well, that kid hit puberty a little bit sooner.
Right.
Yeah, he's going to be a little bit bigger. It's just kind of the nature of science. Shit
The way
happens,
life goes sometimes,
you
right?
know?
No, but having the internal motivation, that's it. If you don't have that, at some point you're gonna get roadblocked and you're done and you're gonna stop. It comes from within you. Another thing I want to touch on, Ty, like how important is like time management in college, right? Like it's tough.
I mean, it's tough for sure. I mean, it's definitely tough, you know. Sometimes getting up's tough, you know. Like, I like summer ball a lot. Like, it was money getting up in the morning, you know, getting here, getting your Chipotle, getting your nap, going to the game. Like, school's so much different. Like, every day is just a mystery. Like, you don't know what you're going to be doing at this time.
Right.
I'm like a creature of habit. Like, I like doing the same things, like, at the same time, like, every day. And, like, you know, class Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then, like, Tuesday, Thursday, there's no class. So it's like, you know, sometimes you want to sleep, sometimes you want to get up and you get at it. Like, I mean, time, like, doing homework, like, shit sucks. Like, you don't want to fucking do it more than half the time. I mean, end up doing it anyway.
Ever. Don't ever want to do it.
Never want to do it. But, you know, you got to do it. And
Sorry.
I think, like, a big thing is just prioritizing. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
making a checklist of what you got to do in your day. And if you check it off every day, at the end of the day, like, I mean, I think you get everything done.
Yeah, that's it. I'm a big list guy, Ty.
You're
Yeah,
definitely a
like
big
I
list guy.
have a
guy.
planner, like, you know, big list, like, you know, gym, my morning routine, like my homework, my practice, and maybe one extra thing I need to do that day.
Right.
So, you know, that's big.
No, I think that's super important. It's something just like kids got to be ready for.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, and I know I'll be the first to admit it. Sometimes my routines suck. Sometimes my routines need to be better.
We keep them in line though.
You know, season's coming, so definitely things will get better and
Right.
ship will be a little tighter.
Right.
So.
So why don't you guys right now just say we got a lot of high schoolers that listen, like talk to them about like what your season's like what the schedule's like. You're gonna go on a trip. You're gonna play. Like how intensive is it? What's the week look like?
For you want to start like in the
So
spring?
pitchers go
spring?
first. You guys
All
go
right,
first.
So
Pitchers go
basically, like this year we're playing a full season. We play a doubleheader Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, 6 to 8 games a week, depending on rainouts, cancels. So for us personally, we don't have class Tuesday, Thursday because in the spring we travel on those days. We have doubleheaders. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we usually there's basketball. There's and like being at junior college, you don't have huge facilities, so you all have to share the gym. Practice from like 8 to 11, sometimes 9 to 12, like whatever it is. And the next day we have practice at noon. And then during the season, you know, we're always traveling. We don't really practice much, honestly. Like in every pitcher, like you know when you're pitching, like Saturday, your Sunday, Tuesday, and like every like there's a schedule, day 1 through 5, and like you're just on separate days with like the same kids. So like during the season, me and Greg will be on the same day, hopefully. Like, and then we just kind of go about our days like that, and kind of just figure it out. Like if someone misses a start, like someone's got to fill in, like. It's a long season, but I mean, 52 games, like that's in 2 months. I mean, it's a grind. So like, go back to everything you do here. Like it matters. Like the lifting, like you gotta be ready, and you gotta like Ty said with the time management. Like if you don't have your homework done, like Raz emphasizes so much. If you don't have a 3.0, don't bother. Like going to a Division I school, if you don't have a 3.0, no shot.
Right.
And we've seen it happen multiple times this year with multiple kids. Didn't have a 3.0. Kids could have went to big time schools, and they're like, you know, I have a 3.0, no shot.
Right. And Raz seems great, man. Like I've never met him. I've only heard amazing things about him. Like how important is it to have someone like him?
I think like
It's different for everyone.
Rat.
Okay.
Very different.
Rat. I don't know how to explain this. He's a psycho. I don't know. Like we do crazy shit in the beginning of the year every year, like running, doing all this conditioning crap, and like I hate it. And, like I got pulled in the office with me and Coda, our third baseman. He's like, "Listen, I love you guys." He goes, "But you're fucking annoying me, complaining every day about running and stuff." And he's like, "I need you guys to lead the team or help lead the team." And like Raz is there for you, like when you need it, but like he also likes when the team leads.
Right.
Like he's there, but it's up to us. Like he doesn't play for us. His playing days are over.
Right.
He's the coach. If we want to win, we're gonna win with our guys, not him.
Right. But what would you tell a high school kid who is considering like, okay, I'm gonna go to this low D1 and maybe play and see what happens, or like, hey, I'm thinking about going to a community college, you know, where I'm gonna go on to myself and I'm gonna try to improve myself and then put myself in a place that was, you know, above where I was at coming out of high school.
Let me speak on this.
Go,
I
Ty.
think, like, you know, I was thinking about this before, like, you know, you have opportunities out of high school to go at junior college to play right away. Like, think about you go to a 4-year, like, you're a freshman, you're not really playing much, you're not really doing much. Like, sophomore year, maybe you get a good opportunity, but, like, think about it, you go to junior college, it's like your fall's your tryout. Like, you can smash up in the fall, you can do good in the fall, and then you're going to be in that day one fucking lineup. Like, you're ready to go for the spring. Like, you don't see that at 4 years very often. So, like, I think your opportunities are earned as you keep going, like, with junior college, rather than a 4-year where you're just stuck, you know, behind someone who's older than you. I think that's how 4 years typically operate. And JUCO is just like, I mean, at least Coach Raz, like, if you're not fucking doing it, someone else is going to fucking do it for you. So, you know, next man up type thing.
I'll add on that too. I feel like if you're a high schooler considering going to like a low Division I school, like if that's what fits you, then for sure like go about it.
That's for sure if that's what fits.
If that's what fits you, but like just know that like, and you're considering the junior college, like there's junior college guys that are like 20 years old, 21 years old, maybe even 22 years old in some cases. Like that Division I school is like that could be their last chance. And, like, they are fighting and doing everything in their willpower to take that spot from you. They don't give a fuck. It's like JUCO is cutthroat. Like, for example, if you want to play in our lineup at Herkimer, you have to go 2 for 4, 3 for 4 every game. Or your ass is on the bench. Like, not even, like, on the bench. Like, you're the last person. Like, you're at the end of the line. Next man up. Like, no bullshit. Like, it's like that. Like, I feel like junior guys, they're just so hungry. Like, they just, and, like, I mean, I don't know about you, but like when I went on an official visit to Dayton, like they showed me all the facilities, and like I didn't really have a like reaction. They're like, "How are the facilities?" And I was like, "This is great." And they're like, "This is why we love junior college guys, because like you don't have shit, like you don't get gear, you don't get nothing." And they're like, "I'm like, yeah, this is great. You got a locker room. We don't have a locker room. We don't have a weight room." And I'm like, "Yeah, this is awesome."
JUCO guys appreciate more.
100%.
Well, it's the, you know, I mean, shit. The GOAT himself. It's the Tom Brady mentality, you know?
Yeah.
Like, always have that chip on your shoulder. 199th pick, like, but never acted like he was the GOAT. Always was worried about the guy taking his job, and I think that's the difference of, like, a JUCO guy or some, as opposed to, like you said, this person that went to, like, a low-level D1. That JUCO guy that's 21, like, he's fighting and clawing for that spot.
It's not even for a start. That's like, that could be like the end of his career.
Right.
Like what he's fighting for. Not just like, oh, I'm a freshman. Like, dude, that could be like it.
Right. So he's fighting and clawing to take your spot. To take your spot that, like, and if he's going to put in that grind and that effort, they're going to notice that, and they may see that, and they may be like, this guy's going to take this spot from you, and then from there, what do you do?
And like more and more coaches are liking junior college. Like junior college is getting so much more popular because like they just know like guys get that college experience right away. Like you're gonna play 50 games. Like there's freshman and sophomore. Like you have a high chance of playing. And like they just love JUCO guys. Like he said, they're so appreciative of everything, and like it's just like a different.
You're
mindset.
grown up.
That's
you
what
got 2 years to develop.
I
You
was
become
just
more.
gonna say that.
Yeah.
Well, the grown up is big because how much like
took
you're
that right out. Right out of my fucking
Understand more.
You're a
We
diff-
locked eyes. I knew what you were thinking.
You're just right in the eyes. You're a different human like 19, 20, 21 than you are 17, 18.
Absolutely.
Like
That was.
You're a different student from your freshman year to your sophomore year.
It's crazy. That I'd say outside of like my baseball, like how I perform, like the way I've grown up in these 3 years, like is like in high school, I was like a dick. Like teachers hated me. Like I was just like, I don't know, but like now, like I would be like if I had to say like I'm probably one of the nicer kids on the team. Like kids will like ask me anything. Like I always tell everyone like if you need help, just let me know. Like if you're gonna match what I do and like put in work, like I'll help anyone. I don't care like what it is. Like Raz, like it's just like that. Like he's just growing up is like a huge thing because like Raz, like dude, like figure it out. Like if you don't figure it out, see ya.
right.
Like, you have to.
Yeah, but as a person, and then like okay, then deciding what I want to do with the next few years of my life, Louisville or the draft or Dayton, like you feel like you just know yourself more as a person and what you want in life and what to do than like a high schooler making that decision.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like I came into Herc, I was like, I want to go try play at like a SUNY school, like Division I.
Right.
And like quickly, those aspirations changed to what's best for me, what do I want as a career. Like I don't see myself getting drafted. Like everything changes from time to time, from month to month, day to day, really. So it's like, these two guys obviously like they have a very good chance of going very far with their career. For me, I'm like, you know what? Like I'm not gonna probably. I'm still gonna work like I want to.
Right.
But it's like you can't be too optimistic about it. You just got to find what's best for you and do, your route. Every route's different.
Now for you, Ty, like, we talked about this, I feel like, the other day. Like, kids identify so strongly with being a baseball player or a football player or a basketball player, like being that athlete. So, like, for you, was that like a... It's almost,
when I go to class, I never wear a baseball apparel.
Like, but before that...
And there's a reason behind that. I mean, in
like
high school, for sure.
Like when you were in high school, like the transition from like high school to when you went to JUCO.
I mean,
and then
junior
that freshman
college,
year to sophomore
I think
year.
your first semester, you kind of figure out what you want to do. You know, like your first semester is like you get your feet wet, you kind of figure out what you want to be, what you want to do in college. And I've always been, I want to be the best in the classroom. Because I just think being on top of your shit in the classroom, nothing else can go wrong. Like, if you have good grades, then if baseball is working for you, then it's working for you. You have good grades to go with it. But, after that, it's like, you got to try to keep going. I don't know.
Did you feel like there was a switch that flipped from like, okay, I identify solely as like a baseball or a player or an athlete to like, okay, I want other things in life too?
I think like wherever my feet are at the time. So like if I'm in the classroom, I'm fully focused on what the professor is putting in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm at my desk, I'm fully focused on doing my homework or doing whatever I got to do. And then if I'm at practice, I'm focused on, I'm trying to get my pitchers better. I'm trying to like talk to them, trying to work with hitters, trying to talk with coaches. Like, everything just has to get like be where your feet are and kind of
compartmentalize.
100%.
Okay. That's like the big thing. I feel like, who are you when you're not on the field? And that's something that I feel like I always talk to. I might even talk to you about it at one point.
And I like my downtime too. Don't get me wrong. Like sometimes just going to take a nap and relax and whatever, you need that.
Big fan of naps. Big fan.
100%.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, this is true, man. No, I think we've learned a lot from these guys. It's just it's just taking I mean, I know I wrote in our notes before the show like an unconventional route, but I think people get fixated on like, I got to sign when I'm a fucking junior in high school and I got to do this and that. I see you shaking your head, right?
It's the worst thing. Like, I mean, yes and no. For baseball, if you're throwing 95 miles per hour and you want to sign with Mississippi State, sign with Mississippi State.
Right.
But so much can, if you sign as a sophomore, so much can change. Like, not even from like, say a head coach leaves, or like the program changes conferences, or like you get hurt, or like even like an ego thing. Like, say if you sign with a sophomore, like, oh, I already signed Division I, like that work ethic gone. Like in some cases, like, and that it's game changing. Like, it's a lot that goes into it.
Right. Yeah, I just think it's like you got to stay up with the grind, you got to stay focused, and it's like you got to do what's best for you. And whether like that's not the route others are taking, or you feel like others feel a certain type of way about it, it's like you got to block shit out, Greg, and like stay focused and do what's best for you. So, yeah, no, I appreciate all you guys coming on. I think it's important for high schoolers and parents to hear, and I really appreciate it and a lot to learn. So hopefully we all can do it again and talk again after you guys win a championship this year. So,
yeah,
for sure.
Hopefully.
Hey, appreciate all you guys.
Can we sneak a brewmate with a beverage in for that national championship interview, or
We can. We'll talk.
I'll be 21, so I'll get it.
I gotta see IDs and we'll talk about it.
it'll be like a 15-day bender for the Hood Boys. So we'll figure that out.
Hey, we appreciate everybody, and we'll catch you all next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was like 2 fucking.